hear from different voices. I don't want to just hear from people that agree with me. We're about to dive into some even deeper topics. Ask a Brother Podcast.
Ask a Brother Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. You know, the revolution is going to be because of us.
We good. But we good.
Up on me.
We good. I did already. I don't do dick sucking shit.
Put the microphone right down. Right now I'm going up back. I don't give a fuck about this shit.
Homie, you just running your mouth.
I'm not running my mouth.
You running your mouth. I don't do no
doing this shit for the internet. You doing it for the internet. Now, if you want to save your time. No, hold on. If you want to
I'll show you I ain't doing it for the internet.
Fuck what you talking about.
I don't dick suck.
If you want to get back to the conversation, ain't no, because you ain't going to do shit. Because you're not going to do shit.
Come at me with that dick sucking shit again, nigga.
You're not going to
come at me with... See, I suck dick again, nigga.
We can go out back right now.
Fuck I am.
We can go out back right now. I'm with it.
I bet you won't say that shit.
We can go out back right now.
I got money for all this. Whatever.
I got money too. Nobody.
Darlene, get out the way. Don't get in the way of two niggas. Let me tell you something, homie. I ain't got to go out back right now, because we got to go out back to lead this motherfucker. But I'm saying that dick sucking shit, watch that. That's all I'm saying. And if I don't say it how you like
if you want to get back to the conversation, we can get back to the conversation.
But just know,
I'm not listening to none of that shit, bro.
Here, nigga.
I'm not listening to none of that shit. If you want to get back to the conversation,
long as you
we can
know.
get back to the conversation.
Long as you know.
Bro, you not.
Because that ain't
not that tough.
This is a fact.
I like this chat. Let me tell y'all why I like the chat.
Everything but himself and white men.
No, listen. I told you I want to come back and have a full conversation about it, or we can talk about it right now. I ain't got nothing better to do.
Study this episode. Shout out to shit on Caucasian male. Shout out to the ain't shit on this.
I'm right.
I'll be around bitches and they tell me about myself all the time. Be gone.
No.
That shit don't hurt no feelings. It's probably better this way.
Because I just proved my point.
Be down. So you proved the point. Homie, just gone, man. Just gone, man. You gone.
All right. What's going on? I'm in the camp that I guess it's official. We could say welcome to season 2 of Ask a Brother Podcast. Appreciate y'all. I'm super excited about this season. What we're planning as far as major interviews, big concepts, some collaborations. We're going to be doing some special projects as well. But if you're currently in the building, please make sure to kind of comment and let me know that you're in it. And shout out to the 40,948 subscribers since I last checked that's joined the wave and joined this team, joined this channel. And make sure that y'all send it, man, because it seems like a lot of this building up this platform and this channel is overwhelmingly due to just you all, as far as commenting and sharing words and just word of mouth, it seems. So I see we're about to build up to 50 people. So again, if you're in the building, please make sure you let me know that you're here. Definitely like the video, of course, and then send it to 2 or 3 people. Y'all know, especially those of y'all that's been my tried and true for the last 6-7 months. Y'all know what it is. So first and foremost, shout out to Mrs. Plum for kicking off season 2 with us as we get ready to get started for this incredible show that we have lined up and week. So just to clarify, y'all, I'm just letting y'all know that I am hype. I am hype because there's just so many announcements, so many things that's in the works. And I'm going to be able to let you know on at least the things that I know for sure I can announce and let you all know. So for starters, let's see who's all in the building. We have Mike of Malice. Appreciate you sliding through. Who else? We got Draco in the building. Let's go. My homegirl Couture Leotards is in the building. Welcome. As y'all see, Turkey did it nice. And no, they're not veneers. I will be speaking on these more. The goal is that we're going to have a video compilation that they put together for highlight my experience while they're working with them. And that once it's done, I'm actually going to post it and share it for you all. And especially for you gentlemen, just to kind of talk about how image really matters and how a bright smile can kind of make or break a lot of potential opportunities. But that'll be for a later date when I get the video and I have a fashion coordinator, one to kind of speak to men's fashion and one to speak to women's fashion in modern day times. For instance, who else we got? Of course, we got the infamous Mrs. Plum in the building. We are back. And listen, kudos to the chat, because the chat is always what keeps me lively and letting me know that people are here, people are listening, people are genuinely enjoying this type of work and stuff. And let's see who all is. Inspirational is in the building. Appreciate you. Hey, Naj. Yep, Naj is here. Naj is here. Yeah, man. So everybody talking about the choppers. I'm gonna tell you this, man. It's definitely different. Definitely something to get used to. But to clarify, my teeth were actually always shaped this way. So these are just caps. So no, I didn't go through with the veneers or get anything pulled out or anything like that. For starters. So peace to everybody that's in the building for sure. Shout out to good evening to everybody, because it's been about close to 2 weeks now since I've last released or put anything out, since my trip from Turkey, coming back, working on some personal stuff as I'm getting some acclimated to some new changes, including announcement number 1, that starting this week, we're going to be doing much, much more content. So in the morning, I'm going to be trying. My goal is for me to be coming out starting 9 a.m. Tomorrow, which is Tuesday, as well as Wednesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. news commentary, where sometimes I'll do it myself. Other times I'll invite other people on, of course, just to kind of let folks know about, that I'm also looking at and paying attention to the news like you all are, but just sharing my thoughts. And for those that are interested and want to partake in that journey, as we kind of now morph into another space where we obviously had Sappy Saps on and other people that we are very politically inclined. We're going to have a space and section for that. And we're also going to have time for obviously our interviews and also original content. So that's really like the 3-headed monster that we're going to be targeting for season 2: interviews, original content, and thought pieces, as well as just general news and current things going on. I just got some messages for some folks saying, somebody literally texted me and was like, yo, what's your thoughts about this Nicki thing? I feel like you need to talk about the Epstein files and Nicki. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to see if I can do that on Thursday, and also squeeze in tomorrow through Wednesday at least, the immigration discussion involving ICE. So I hope that you all, as I start to delve into that, are able to support if you can. It'll be 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, first thing in the morning. Obviously, in the evening shows, we'll always announce it in advance, whether it's 7, 8, or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on what we have going on that particular evening, whether it's original content or interviews, or if I'm joining someone else's platform on a particular occasion. So with that said, listen, y'all, oh snap, it's quite a few people already starting to pull up. Listen, I see that we've cleared 50. Our goal is to clear 100, at minimum 100 over the course of this show. So if you enjoyed this show all the way up until this point, and if you enjoy supporting this particular brand and network, I always say it to everybody the same thing every time. Make sure that you like this video. Make sure you send it to 2, 3, or even 4 people. And feel free to hit that $ super chat button if you feel it is deemed important and necessary. So listen, I see that everybody's starting to roll in, and somebody's already starting us off right. Draco, appreciate you, good brother. Nothing but love, nothing but love. Appreciate you for the $2, of course. And listen, y'all, whether it's 2, 3, 4, $20 or more, I always appreciate it, because a lot of this is being actually reinvested back in the company as I get better equipment, as I'm traveling, as I'm doing a whole host of things and trying to align and get certain things in order for certain guests. This stuff is kind of expensive. So a lot of this, between you all being members of the channel, which I believe is $2.99 to be a member, and again, I'm like, y'all been holding it down. If you are a member, if you are a subscriber, if you watch this stuff, if you like and share it, you already show support in ways I can't imagine. And I appreciate people like this who just go the extra mile beyond the support that we've already been getting up to this point. So listen, y'all, we're at 70 now. So my goal is for us to get to 100+ people, because I do believe today's topic, obviously as it relates to Anton and Corey, I've spent the last 2 weeks kind of observing and watching a lot of things, and I have some very, very, very different, I think, views that I didn't see too much or too often, for sure. All right, y'all. So before I jump into today's particular topic and really get into the weeds of, kind of a lot of things that kind of popped up in my head, having watched and talked with people behind the scenes about my thoughts and feelings about this stuff, I'm going to let y'all know in a little secret. Myself and Ilosophical will be soon announcing, potentially as early as next week, a special group, exclusive group for people that want to join us, and it will be a movie and book club. So as we finalize the details and get ready to launch and put that out there for you all, stay tuned because we're going to announce it on all of our social media platforms, and we may do a test trial run where we allow as an episode for you all to watch and see what that would look like when we do uncover a particular book and or documentary or book or sorry or movie. And that will be our movie/book club, and literally anyone and everyone is going to be welcome to join it. Of course, it's going to be a paid membership because we got to run it, we got to track it, we have to stay on top of it, we have to treat it like a real 9 to 5 job. But for like I said, for those that want to be engaging in it, it'll be weekly, and you all will actually be able to kind of get off of all the social media stuff and it'll just be like a small knit community where everybody that wants to join and partake in doing this stuff. Some people have mentioned like movie clubs or book clubs. Some people even said conspiracy theory clubs. I still am thinking about that. I haven't found enough people that I don't know if who are really be interested in that as of yet. But I will say for sure, man, that I think that the movie book club is going to be really, really cool. And for those of us that want to connect, talk on a weekly basis and be able to have our little powwows and stuff and just be able to build a community of people that enjoy the same content, watch the same things, and interact with people that just like to talk and to think and to work through this stuff. I'm like, this is going to be dope. Yeah, man. What somebody said. Yeah, man. Listen, the things are going to be on the uptick. And best believe y'all are going to see your boy a whole lot more than perhaps you have in the past. So I'm just letting y'all know right now, news is coming out this week as far as news from this channel, 9 a.m. My goal is to start hitting the ground running with talks about, again, the undocumented situation, border enforcement, ICE, Renee Good, the other gentleman, all of that. Later this week, maybe Thursday or so, I might be having a guest on, and we may also be talking about that, as well as the Nikki stuff, the Epstein files, the whole nine. So listen, y'all, hit that. Hey, Katie's in the building. Please make sure that y'all hit the like button if y'all haven't done so, for sure. And listen, welcome, Harry. My favorite album and favorite artist all time had to make a comeback for the beginning of season 2. And of course, I'll be transitioning out different different records for sure, but obviously that's my near and dear to my heart for sure. Yeah, I will, again, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say that I have some very interesting thoughts, especially in light of what she's been coming out with as of recently. So I see that we have cleared already 100+ people, so that means the road now is to 150 or 200 people for sure. So listen, y'all, now as the announcements are winding down, now it's time for us to get into the bread with Brother John. Appreciate you, good brother. Appreciate you, good sir, for the $9.99. And this is what I'm saying when I say I really, really, really enjoy this community and enjoy this group. And I hope that over the course of today's particular episode, even in questioning my own motives about why it is that I was going to cover this topic in relation to what I was thinking was probably happening for a lot of other people, I just want y'all to know that I really care about this, and I really want this to succeed. I want us to one day hit 50,000, 100,000 plus people. Have men's retreats, women's retreats, conferences, the whole nine. And again, we are planning a particular conference. I cannot speak yet to whose idea it was and who's pushing for it behind the scenes, but there's a good chance that if we are to announce it at some point soon, it may be myself and 1, 2, or even 3 other people that are very much more recognizable than even I am, in comparison to you all knowing me for this short amount of time. These people you have probably heard of, and we're just kind of wait for confirmation before we announce what that particular, conference is going to be about. So again, movie book club is coming very soon. We're going to be potentially announcing it as early as next week with Mr. Philosophical. We'll have another person who at some point soon, her and I will be announcing our conference that we're going to be doing and where it's going to be at. We haven't decided yet if it's potentially going to be DC or somewhere else on the East Coast. So stay tuned for that. Joe Budden's voice coach 3060. Appreciate you in the building. He is a con artist. Well, I'm going to say this. This is great feedback, because I think that I'm going to speak to a lot of the things that maybe everybody was wondering and thinking as it relates to this particular topic, of course. All right, y'all. So thank you again for the $2. All right, y'all. So, like I said, I will get to the conference when the conference comes. I don't want to spoil it as of yet. And then last but not least, Mike of Malice, appreciate you for the $10. Says season 1 recap of Ask a Brother, a main question completed interview with the entire Black community from Boquisha to Jasmine, Tyrone to James moving at light speed. Yeah, man, season 2 is going to be fire. And yes, as I get more details on what the movie/book club looks like, we will kind of explain it. In fact, we'll probably have an episode that's live where we're just going to show you what our book club is going to look like. And for all those that want to join, feel free to sign up and join when it's made available. We'll have the links everywhere. And then at that point, it's cool because then we can really actually engage with each other. So I'm not just staring at a screen, I'm actually seeing other people, and we all get to just bounce ideas and thoughts off of each other and actually build a community from far away and bring it right to our screens. And I think that it's going to be really cool. And I'm excited for it, man. He's again someone who I think is really thoughtful. And yeah, man, we're gonna be figuring out what that looks like pretty soon. And then once we announce it, I think you all are genuinely going to enjoy it for sure. All right, y'all. So without further ado, shout out to today's sponsor, DuSable Botanical Farms, for their amazing alternative products as it relates to helping men in their bedroom. So listen, we're going to watch the video and then we're going to jump into today's episode. Stay tuned. Thank you, Mrs. Plum, for the comment, just for everybody to be made aware of. Make sure that if you all are going to purchase from DuSable Botanical Farms, make sure that you type in Ask a Brother 10 to get that 10% off your next purchase. Thank you, Mrs. Plum, for that. All right, y'all. So now it's time for us to get serious, and it's time for us to get underway in terms of a very interesting topic that was trending a couple of weeks ago. And although I spoke on it once haphazardly with Stacey Prince, obviously some people understood my perspective, and then there were other people that were radically in the camp of, I guess, being upset that I wasn't hard enough on Anton, or apparently that they just don't like Anton. So anybody that didn't have enough smoke for him, they felt, I guess they weren't happy about it. But I will say this. Let's get to what transpired. A shouting match between two men that disagree about the role of race in America and how to view race in the realms of the law, politics, and even life in general. Disrespect was spewed in both directions, and things obviously got quite heated. Now, whether it be the the whole debate about the gold blue dress, the O.J. Simpson trial, and anything, whether it's Trump, Obama, you name it, it just seems like there's always going to be people on both sides of the aisle, especially with major topics. And this apparently is one of them. And, as the news broke and the story began to kind of trend, that these two well-known brothers, representing what I would argue is probably two sides of the community, they almost came to blows. And I watched how everyone ran to watch, and then a lot of commentators and reactors ran to post and react about it. And number 5, the first thing, and I have 5 points thoughts that I've been kind of sitting on for a little while, and I want to know, after you all read or listen to this and comment if you see fit, what it all is that you think. But the first and number 5 of which was, what does it say about us? So we are entertained and captivated by that which we say publicly is wrong, right? For instance, the Kardashians are famous, right? the Real Housewives. Last time I checked, the most violent, ghetto, and ratchet seasons were the most lit ones. There ain't no other way to really kind of describe it, right? And then the kicker, and it's crazy. I had to find this out. OnlyFans. Woo, 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 woo. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is insanity. $7.2 billion in gross revenue in 2024. So basically what I'm getting at, whether we realize it or not, is deep down, I think we are entertained and captivated by the very things we claim are so broken and wrong in our culture and society. Deep down, we like it. Deep down, we enjoy it. And both the audience and watchers and viewers, as well as the creators and producers, we're all co-conspirators. And we both, the creators and the audience, are spinning the wheel of our own destruction, with neither of us being willing to stop pushing it forward. So even as I've kind of, thought about this stuff for a little while, one of the things that's kind of I was thinking about and why I kind of sat on it for the last 2 weeks was not because I was scared of sharing my opinion. Obviously, I haven't been scared to share most of my views and opinions on a whole host of things. I was thinking about my motives. And I was wondering, when it first came out, people were saying, oh, you should comment on this, you should react to it. I was thinking about why I would even want to comment on two black men getting ready to come to blows. I mean, the sensical thing, the logical thing, if you're in this for business, is to do to cover something like that when it's hot and trending, to give you extra views and subscribers. And I could have did that, I chose not to. But does the fact that I waited a couple weeks, now that it's died down, now everybody's talking about Epstein and Nicki Minaj and ICE and all this other stuff, when folks have moved on, and it's been a few weeks, suddenly does that now transform me and make me now somehow better than all the people who did initial reaction videos immediately that same day or the next day? I don't think so. I doubt it. Have I given myself an opportunity to be more thoughtful in my response? I think so. I think it's hard it's like the people when an album first comes out and they're putting their review down like 2 hours after the album is out. Like it's not you having and needing time to kind of process some of these things, for me sometimes anyway. I guess it's worth waiting. It's worth collecting my thoughts and thinking and not just instantly jumping out there. And the first thing that I noticed and questioned was, how does this make us as Americans look? How does this make us in the Black community look, right? And I'm going to say more about that soon in terms of what I did think about it. That probably would be actually number one. But I do think that perhaps moments like this actually reveal a few things about us, whether we obviously perhaps wanted to admit it or acknowledge or not. Like when we look at this, I don't see a drastic difference between this and what we were all watching and witnessing at the beginning of this video, between what was happening with Corey and Anton. This is us. We're actually looking in the mirror, whether we realize it or not. When we were watching that video and we're looking at what we're seeing on the screen, I think that this is an accurate mirror of what we're willing to be entertained by, maybe perhaps what we wish we could get away with, or even deep down, just something carnal inside of us that, for whatever reason, this is us. And when I spent, the last few weeks observing and looking at different reactions and responses, the main thing that I was watching was not the argument between them two. What I was watching was the comments. I was watching the commentators and I was watching us. And one thing I noted was that there was the men that just had such strong feelings towards either Anton or Corey, right? And seeing who they aligned with and how that alignment made sense of the guy they were supporting in his behavior based on whether or not they were rooting for him or not. What I mean by that is a lot of times in this red pill space, a lot of times in this manosphere space, men pride themselves on talking so much about how women are always led by their feelings, led by their emotions. And it was interesting to see people pick sides and see two men that got disrespectful at times. And they, just like in politics, they planted their flag down and they were going to defend their side, regardless of corruption, regardless of evil, regardless of disrespect. They were going to pick their side and they were going to defend their side as if they did no wrong and state how the other side was so lame and so this and so that. And the wild thing about observing and seeing men pick which guy they was gonna rock with, which side they was. You on Anton's side, or you defending Corey too much. You defending Anton. It was sad to see, man. A situation that didn't involve any of us. And seeing men that prided and talked so much about honesty and truth and truth doesn't care about your feelings. But then when two men cross lines they probably shouldn't, and seeing you being willing to ignore what one of those men did because you liked or hated the other one more. Oof. What's wild is knowing that if the statements and disrespect had been flipped, knowing that your view, if you were one of these people that was picking a side, we know that your view on who, quote unquote, you would wanted to support or who's in the right wouldn't have changed. What I'm basically saying is if everything that Anton said, Corey has said, and everything that Corey has said, Anton has said, it wasn't actually about what was being said. It was simply about how you felt about one versus the other. And y'all were going through mental gymnastics to excuse the guy that you was rocking with. And y'all were passionate about picking a side. Wow. Listen, y'all, we're at 197. That means we are 3 people away from being able to hit our goal for 200 people watching simultaneously. So feel free, if you have not done so, to like this video. Please make sure that you send it to 2 or 3 people. Let's share this stuff because, again, of course, there was different ways of how people could react and respond to this. And I'm not the gatekeeper of being able to respond to this stuff. It's just having had time to watch, observe, and analyze just how the general public kind of reacted to this stuff. I wanted to kind of slow us down and maybe hear or think or see things slightly differently than perhaps we've been accustomed to. So point number 1 that I made was, again, what does it say about us? But there was a second one. And this one is going to be on confirmation bias. And we're going to play this video. And I want you to pay attention to more so how the individual who gives the response, how she's viewing the information. And then I'm going to show how that was something all of us were doing, particularly those that had a very strong stance on who they agreed with and who they disagreed with. So stay tuned for this.
Hey, man, fuck what you talking about.
I don't think so.
If you want to get back to the conversation, because you ain't gonna do shit. We can go all back right now. We can go all back right now. I'm with it.
You see this right here? See, this is what you liberals always do. This is what you do. You make sure that the point is not made. That man was getting ready to make a very valid point. The valid point that he was getting ready to make is that Holcomb is at the knee and on his knees for the Democratic Party. But he made this big, you ain't gonna say I'm this, you ain't gonna say that. He did all that shit just to make sure that this man wasn't able to make his point. And that's what you do all the time. But let me tell you something. In 2026, we're done. We are 100. I'm telling you right now that on behalf, I am now the spokesperson of the melanated America. I have voted myself in.
Yeah, man. Very, very interesting perspective, and shout out to Workflow for stating facts for sure. Confirmation bias. Now, whether I agree or disagree with her particular stance or viewpoint is secondary to the fact that she was using an interpretive lens where she was able to split her viewpoint between these two men along political lines and who she apparently aligned with more so. And by, seeing Corey as more so associated with the left and liberals or Democrats, her vantage point was he's making a lot of emotional arguments. He's being very reactionary. Now, to be fair, as a critique to her point, obviously both men got emotional at certain points. Both men got reactive. But the lens she was using was allowing her to see Corey's actions and Corey's responses as extremely problematic, as if they both weren't toxic and problematic towards each other. She leaned more in on scrutiny on Corey because of her disposition and viewpoint of being hypercritical towards men and people that she associates with being liberals. Now, on the flip side is a person that has that mentality and mindset can very easily know when Corey says to Anton, you don't talk crazy about white people or white men. And I mean, as someone who's watched Anton's stuff, I mean, is Joe Biden black or white? Is Gavin Newsom black or white? Is Tim Walz black or white? And that's all within the last 3 months. So then when we get to examples of additional men and women, it's very, very clear that it sounds like Anton has a particular perspective that if he's going to critique white people, it's going to be based off of what they've said and their particular ideas, not simply by de facto just because they're white. Whereas Corey, it comes off sometimes with his critique and a lot of people who sound just like him. You ain't talking about white people. Well, I just listed off some people that you could just look them up and test this yourself. So it is white people, but you want him to talk about white people in general. Oh, you want him to do what Charlie Kirk was doing So if what Charlie Kirk was doing was bad and you didn't like that and you didn't like how he was talking about the black community or talking about Muslims or talking about this group or that group, you don't want Anton to specify which type of white man or white woman he disagrees with. You want him to do what you're upset that Charlie Kirk was doing. You just want him to do it towards white people. You see how that sounds crazy? But the person who was rooting for Corey or on the side of Corey wouldn't have probably worked through or thought that out too well or too thoroughly to realize that's not quite true or accurate. Appreciate you, Classic Codes, $5 in an honest attempt to cover objectively. You'd find yourself leaning in a direction depending on what type of man you are, respectfully. Hey, facts. Very fair, true. And I'm the first to say that I actually am a fan of both of theirs. Believe it or not, I actually don't agree with everything for both of them. But there's certain things that I do. I actually have learned quite a bit about game, about business, about a lot of moves that I'm even making right now from both of them even now. But it's very interesting to see how we've gotten to this point. So obviously what I had just covered again was as it relates to what the lady I just mentioned, confirmation bias. What I'm basically saying is that those that dislike Anton and agreed with Corey would have been telling how Corey wasn't scared and didn't back down from Anton after saying something disrespectful not once or twice in his face. If the roles are reversed, they would have boasted about how Corey stood on business, didn't back down even when somebody came in his face, and after saying something disrespectful not once, twice, but owning it and acknowledging and stating that it was disrespectful, even after inviting Anton to meet him out back. they would have said that Corey was the man. He stood up. He ain't back down. He stood on business. But because it wasn't Corey that did it, it was somebody that people who rock with Corey, they rock with Corey, it was somebody that apparently a lot of them don't like and don't respect. Now all of those things are now seen as cowardly. Unless, of course, he had said the disrespectful thing, you suck D 3 or 4 times. Now his masculinity is checked off, right? You knew that the goalpost was moving. There was nothing, if you dislike Anton or dislike Corey, that was going to matter with what they said. Like politics, people typically watch, vote, react to things with general views, seeking to confirm what they already believe, think they know, and how they feel. Outside of a physical assault or potential crime being committed, there was nothing either man could do to change your opinion of which one you probably liked or disliked. In my opinion. But relatedly, emotionalism and disrespect. And this is actually the one I want to sit on for a little bit. I've thought about this. Now I see that we are now teetering on where we just exceeded 300 people. So we're going to aim for 350 people. So if you have not liked this, y'all, please make sure that y'all do. I am going to go through the comments. I promise you. Feel free to, again, hit those $ super chats if you love this content and enjoy this type of work. So number 3 on my list of the top 5 things that I kind of noted was how we as a community, as people, as even Americans, how we still struggle with operating out of emotionalism and playing around with the subjectivity of disrespect. Now, the reason why I say this, there have been people who have lost their lives because somebody stepped on somebody's shoes. There's been people that have gotten shot and killed because they made a comment about somebody's family member. And I think it's sad. And it's a real reflection of where our actual morals are and our morality is. And especially as men, when our morality and our maturity, we now measure that on whether or not we will react to a particular word that's not a threat. Go back and listen to the tapes. Listen to everybody that reacts, especially the men. Go back and listen to every single man. I would have this. I would have that. Yeah, I'm going to jail. Da, 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 da. Did y'all really say as grown-ass men, 30s, 40s, 50 plus, that we're going to jail, we're not coming home, we're going to lose our wealth and opportunities to be able to do X, Y, and Z for ourselves, our families, and generationally what we could do for our lineage? All that can get thrown to the side because a man said something you don't like. Think about where our masculinity and our maturity and where we are as people and as men are. If we're at a place where someone that says something that is not a threat and is not something we can hold them legally liable for is enough to warrant us throwing our life away. And the men and the people that's thinking about this and is being like, I was younger, I might have reacted crazy, but now it's like, all right, you got more to lose for. So they're the lames. They're the idiots. They're the people who are not men. But the men who are willing to crash out and risk and throw everything away and say, Anton should have did this and Corey should have done that. Which one of y'all was paying for their bill? Which one of y'all was coming to their funeral? I think this is the crazy part. I also think that it revealed how we measure and determine what's considered truly disrespectful or not. Because if you already agree with something that's being said that is disrespectful, You may not even see it as disrespectful. You just may see it as true. So Anton saying to Corey, you suck X, you suck D for the black community or for Democrats or for liberals. You know who you doing that for, right? That's seen as disrespectful. Telling someone that you don't respect them, that they are a sellout, that they kiss the ass of white people. Even if you believe that to be true, you don't know that the wrong man saying that to can result in very similar reactions and responses. Or is your view of disrespect hinged on whether or not you agree with it or not, and who it is being sent towards? I'm gonna warn everybody that's on the side of thinking that for various forms of disrespect is apparently so acceptable, and then other ones we gotta take somebody's life and go crash out for. I just want you to be careful and mindful how comfortable many of you are with all these acceptable forms of disrespect towards people that vote differently than you, that think differently than you, and analyze and see ways to address problems differently than you. Be mindful that you have a very lopsided view of what disrespect actually is and means. I saw disrespect on both sides. I saw things that could have easily led, based off of what was said on both sides, that could have easily led to things going south. A lot of you seem to have only seen something as disrespectful on one side. And that's the problem. Grown men talking about what they would have done with over words while risking their income and their wealth and being able to return home to their kids and their families, man, over something that wasn't even a threat, man. That's interesting. That's interesting to say the least. And I just think that we need to reevaluate. I think we need to reevaluate all this stuff, what we're entertained by, how easily moved we are, how easily we're able to be controlled and manipulated into feeling, thinking, moving without even processing why we think or feel the way that we do. The reality is, in my humble opinion, it wasn't a good look for us. It wasn't a good look for in the black community. It just wasn't a good look. And if it wasn't a good look, but wishing that either of them would have done worse to make us look worse, like, come on, y'all, man. This, feel free to like this, man, if y'all enjoy this type of stuff. And, you know, I hope that you all will get something out of this for sure. And listen, if y'all have not followed me on Instagram, we're almost at 10,000 people. We're soon to be hopefully at 9,000 the next week or two. And then we'll hopefully be able to get monetized on Instagram. So stay tuned for that. So if you have not found me, it's Ask a Brother Podcast on Instagram for sure. Thank you, Mrs. Plum, for sure. And no, and to be fair, Code, I said the person in the video probably saw him and attributed him and saw him as a quote unquote leftist. Although I think most people would probably view him as just a general Democrat. Do I consider him on a level of like a communist? No. Or even necessarily a progressive? Probably not. But that's neither here nor there. Yep. Just skimming through some of these as well. So listen, y'all, I see that we're at almost 330 people live. So listen, y'all, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for tuning in. I don't want to hold y'all long. So I have a couple more points that I want us to cover. And this next part is in relation to specific disrespect. So we're going to watch this and then we're going to, I'm going to speak to this.
This is dedicated to you, Lane.
Oh, that's cool.
This is dedicated to you, Lane. If you want me to, call me again. I'll send you one. Motherfuckers out here thinking they can control how war goes. You playing with me, I'ma play with you. I'm going to play with you, man. You don't even know. I saw a video online. This man talk about all his paper. I saw a video online. You know what I'm saying? Dude, wife shopping at Walmart.
All right. So number 4 of things that I thought were very interesting and that I kind of observed that I kind of wanted to park here for a second. Even in reading these comments, some of y'all are still talking about who won, who lost, who looked better, who looked worse, who was this, who was that. Like, maybe I'm not phrasing this correctly. Where is your barometer for measuring what it means to be a man? If this is what actually was happening, especially after the fact, and you're still rooted on who won, who ran, who did this or who did that. Y'all are literally doing it right now in the comments. I'm going to get to for point number 1 how we all lost in the end. This is actually what was happening. If we really slow down for a second, 2 married women whose business we don't know, whose details in terms of how they live their lives we don't know, and women and children getting brought up and thrown under the bus. Look at this. Oh, bro, like a t-shirt, my guy. This is y'all. Y'all are so focused on who won, who lost, who's the panderer, who's really black, who's this, who's that. And you talk so much about the patriarchy. We talk so much about men, the return of masculinity needing to take place. This was probably one of those moments. Test. And the wildest part is hundreds of thousands of women watched while stuff like this was being stated and was happening. And a whole lot of y'all had nothing to say about how foul it was to talk about women and children, particularly and especially people who had nothing to do with any of the disrespect being sent from both sides. And we didn't even pause for a second to say, yo, bro, we're going a bit too far, my guy. We gotta slow down with this, man. That's wrong, bro. Instead, we doubled down on which side and who won and who made the better argument or better this or better that, man. And the wildest part in terms of accountability, I was watching it, looking through this. Look at this. This must be a female-centered channel. Ain't it crazy how when it's time for us to hold the mirror up at ourselves as men, as people, and accountability can't just be something that you keep claiming only women struggle with. When these are the types of comments men are making. So we can only be a female-centered channel if we're talking about what it means to hold ourselves accountable, but what we allow in our spirits, in our minds, and what we're choosing to be entertained by. This is what I mean, man. This is what I mean. I think in the grand scheme of things, man, we got so caught up in the distraction and the dysfunction and the cursing and all this other stuff, man, that we lost sight of sometimes it's possible that even in the midst of chaos, there is such a thing as lines being crossed that shouldn't be. Of course, what Anton said was wild, off the wall. I also think what Corey said didn't help. And I think stuff like this, nah, it's just not right. And rather than us just call a spade and say, listen, man, if you thought the dude that didn't say you suck D a third or fourth or fifth time wasn't being a man and was punked, what's the scale of masculinity here? Not just in the one holding the t-shirt, but also in the people who are still rooting for it in him. And or you saw it, heard it, and don't even give a damn. You think you're that much more masculine than Anton or this guy or that? Like, come on, bro. This was sad to see, man. And the wild part was seeing so many of us kind of just, it's like we really, really didn't care. How are we blind to not see that that was a line that should not have been crossed when it happened? Did we become chatty patties consumed by the gossip of who Anton was with and how many side pieces does he got and you know, how's he feeling now that his daughter's getting brought up? Like, this stuff is going way, way past, man, where it probably should have. Man, like watching people who previously were anti-guns and violence now justify both to fight against the ICE Gestapo. It was fascinating to see people, but especially men, be much more emotionally charged by trigger words. Being used in a back and forth over an argument versus women and a child being publicly scrutinized and violated in ways I don't think was warranted. And because it was on the side of the guy that y'all like, it didn't mean anything to y'all. I don't know that most of us actually cared. My last piece. I think we missed something. I think we missed a moment. Listen, guys, if you are liking this type of content and you want me to cover a lot more of this stuff, especially news and relevant topics, I'm going to be trying to hit the ground running starting tomorrow with my news, where we cover a whole host of things. But there is a link pinned at the very, very top for those that want to join in this conversation before I wrap things up. For sure, if you have the call-in link, feel free to click on it, but you do have to show your face. Please, no cursing or saying anything inappropriate. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that for sure. I think we missed a moment, man. As interesting, and I know that maybe people have a whole lot to other things to say or think, but other than Charleston White, who is probably more relevant for a large demographic of the urban Black community spanning several generations than probably Corey Holcomb as it relates to cultural commentary, especially when it comes to spanning multiple generations. Not many people ahead of him on the list. And then in the Black community, presently, who has mastered the algorithm and ability to navigate Black and white, conservative and liberal spaces more than Anton Daniels? From Martin to Malcolm, W.E.B. Du Bois to Booker T, Black liberal, Black conservative, it seems that we keep falling for this trick, this trap. There are, to me anyway, legitimate, actual reasons and arguments and strengths for why it is someone may agree with what it means to be a liberal, what it means to be conservative, what it means to be progressive, what it means to be libertarian, right? But there's also weaknesses that comes with those perspectives. There's also flaws. And it seems what I've noticed is that people have a really, really difficult time listening to and being open to hearing about flaws, shortcomings, and feedback from the side and the people they don't like. That's actually what I was watching and witnessing as I was watching these two competing ideologies. Strong viewpoints about the role of race in politics and law and society in general. Two very staunch standpoints, ideologies, views, opinions that were completely on opposite ends of the spectrum. But both of these gentlemen representing very, very major, important voices, tapping into the urban Black community, all the way down to the way in which the algorithm runs and the multiplicity of ways in which one's space and voice and message can hit so many different domains. And imagine if those two had, like, this is my thing. Like, Republicans that don't want to entertain a discussion on there being a race problem in the Republican Party, in certain factions within their camp. It is. It's a thing. There is a reason Nick Fuentes and a white nationalist like Jared Taylor have fallen under the Republican camp. It wasn't a difficult choice for them. It's not because everybody is a racist within the camp, but because there's clearly people within that camp that sees that as normal, fine. There's also a reason why Democrats are losing voters and why so many people are fleeing and running from these blue cities in the millions. It turns out many of us, I don't think what we watched on the video is actually a reflection of how we carry our lives when we're cutting people off, when we're in clashing, when we're at war with each other. I don't think that most of us are truly as much of believers in the diversity of thought as we claim. And I think when we try to dictate how people should view things, how people should analyze things, how people should view a particular problem versus simply hearing their strengths and weaknesses and deciding if we agree with their arguments or not, this is how we end up getting to the place where we end up too far apart. We're so far apart, and I'm like, bro, when I really, really watch that and look back, I'm like, are we not at a place yet where two men that can have radically different views about what the symptom is, what the issue is, and how to address it? Are we at the place where what we watched on video is typically how we are in real life? Basically what I'm asking. Because I'm starting to think, after observation, even personal things that I've seen and witnessed and experienced, perhaps we are at that place where people who don't agree with you or your viewpoint are now coons and sellouts. And people who, if you're on the opposite end, and the people who don't see it the way that you do, they're just all weak and they can't think for themselves and they're not rational and they have no ability to come to logical conclusions. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And we had an opportunity to meet there. It's amazing to me. What arrogance, man, for us to presuppose that either of these gentlemen went into it and came out of it doing everything perfectly, strictly through the lens because we agreed with one of them. My view is that that's just not the case. Usually it's not the case. I think we have to be careful of equating being a good, moral, intelligent person on the basis of whether or not they identify with you politically or agree with your general viewpoint on a particular matter. These guys are just guys at the end of the day. Guys with money, guys with some status, still guys, still human beings, as am I. And it's possible that we can have some good arguments, some poor ones. We can stand for certain things and also live lives of contradiction. And I think that's the humanity of all of us. That's my view. So yeah, I think we got to be careful when it comes to equating someone being seen as quote unquote good or moral or right on the basis of simply whether or not they identify with a political party that we've been indoctrinated to believe in North America in the 21st century. What I saw was just two men digging their heels in, man. I saw two men planting their ideological flags in the ground. They weren't going to budge or give an inch, especially not in front of the cameras. I saw two armies, two ideologies, two hands unwilling to meet in the middle, to build off of what they've already built individually, to move us towards a common goal. Imagine Corey's reach of the liberal, left, Democrat, Black radical-minded people. And imagine taking Anton's business acumen, how, all the things that he's been exposed to on his end, and imagine those two worlds coming together. Imagining Corey's voice and perspective being brought into the spaces where Anton's reach is crazy. And some of the things that perhaps Anton has done, the lives that he's changed, and taking that concept and bringing it to the very people who probably need it most, that are still waiting for handouts that's probably never going to come. Imagine if those two ideologies and worlds had been able to, Instead, that potential collaboration resulted in a viral moment that will come and go. And the two worlds that had like an opportunity to integrate and synthesize ended up crashing and colliding. So when you ask me my thoughts about the altercation between Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb, I'll be honest. And this is my honest to God truth. I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing people that look like me come close to violence or actually getting violent. I'm tired, and I wish that the brilliance and the skill and the intelligence and the creativity and the business acumen that got them into both those positions, and that's those same skills and strengths that spread out all over the diaspora, man. I wish that we could have and they could have come together. And instead, we're still on the taking sides and talking about taking sides on a sinking ship, on a crumbling and declining empire. Will we ever get that division is how we lose and continue to lose it again? While others have Chinatown and, Little Italy. And even in the entire country, they can go back to maintain dual citizenship. We have viral clips. I guess I am on the side that we lose every time we go viral for moments like this. So that's the show. So I'm now going to allow some folks to come through, pull up. So again, I told y'all before, obviously the link is at the top if you want to join the conversation. I'm now going to be allowing folks to kind of spill in. So I'm just going to catch a handful of people because I got to get ready for tomorrow's shows for sure. But let me read a couple super chats real quick to make sure I haven't missed anyone. Boom, 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 boom. I think the classic codes. Yes, I appreciate you for the $5 we did. And Couture, thank you for the gifts as well. And little 24. Appreciate you for the $10. You can't attack someone and expect them to act how you want them to. That's why most of us men move accordingly. Yeah, I agree to an extent. Obviously people can acknowledge that it's such a thing as an overreaction, but it's also true. You can't dictate once you put something out there, once you say something, you can't really dictate how people should react and or respond for sure. Terrence Jones, 4560. Appreciate you for the $10. They both were arguing with themselves in front of a psychological mirror that doesn't exist, and both looked through the mirror and saw each other at catch 22. Yeah, there was probably way more similarities than differences, and it was interesting to see how people in picking their sides couldn't easily make very similar arguments for quote unquote the other side. It was very interesting to see once people kind of locked in on team Anton, team Corey, the mental gymnastics for them to kind of explain why the person they thought was in the right was still completely in the right. Versus acknowledging like it was just foul all over. It was a lot of lines being crossed. And in the end, I don't think anybody won, let alone us as a community either as well. Dr. Devil Dog, appreciate you for the 1999. The single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. Woo! What a bar, what a bar, what a bar. And yeah, I think in terms of what I concluded in the end with what I believe we're missing, this is one of the things that I think are missing is when we cover this stuff and blast this stuff everywhere, the implications and ramifications, we don't even know how far stuff like this truly impacts us on a societal and global level. I do know that there are random people that are black and brown in other countries that do tell some of their children as they're proceeding to come to America not to do life with us. I do know that there's some people who would much rather pick a black or brown immigrant over us for particular positions and roles. I'm pretty sure videos like this doesn't help. Train to Live, $9.99. Appreciate you for the $9.99. Just to share a thought about the topic related to these two males, not to come across as their behaviors may be an indication of just how primitive humans still are. I'm not gonna go into the weeds of it. I think it's more so just they got caught up in it. Disrespect was had. Cameras are on. There's an audience. There's a lot of adrenaline that's probably pumping more than anything else. Yeah, I think I'd already alluded to this, that he's not a leftist, as much as I'm stating again that a lot of times the people who call themselves leftists, as well as the people who are just general Democrats, they end up voting and oftentimes being in the same camps. They end up voting for Mamdani anyway. So as I was kind of stating, people who are fans of Corey tends to not be maybe too conservative or all the way to the right, or just have a radically different view than how Corey potentially sees it. And as it relates to how Corey sees race and how expansive he believes it impacts the lives of Black Americans in every way, shape, or form, potentially, leftists do that. That's actually a very leftist viewpoint for sure. It doesn't mean that he's a leftist in literally any other way, but that's probably the common overlap, more or less. All right, y'all. So now I'm going to add people to the screen. So again, if you are in the building, make sure that you like this video. If you haven't, make sure that you share it with 2 or 3 people. And again, the link is at the top if you want to join. I see 3 people have joined. So I am going to add a few folks as we add now. And we're just going to, let's see. I see Call Me Shape. I'm going to add him. Code, I see you're available. So I'm going to add you. And then Truth Unfolded. If you show yourself, I will gladly add you as well. All right. So gentlemen, welcome. What's going on?
Welcome. How's it going? Appreciate the invite.
Welcome, brother.
How you doing?
Hey, well, Call Me Shape, brother. Why don't you start first, good brother, since you know you saw this early and I did you cover it on your show?
Nah, I didn't want to touch this. I didn't want to touch it. But I'll talk about it here though, you know.
Yeah. Well, tell me what you think.
Well, first thing, bro, not all skin folk is kinfolk, bro. I think we need to get out of this whole we're Black, we need to unite with each other. You know, I came back from Africa and, you know, there's Ghanaians, there's Nigerians, you know what I'm saying? There's Ethiopians. They're all black, but they're different kingdoms. You get what I'm trying to say? So I think as we start to go through the problems that we have in a black America, we got to realize that we're not a monolith, and we don't want people to believe that we're a monolith. So we got to stop acting like we're a monolith. You feel me? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be for the improvement of black communities or whatever, but I just think that Corey Holcomb and Anton, they're both Americans and they don't agree at all. Yeah. Right. I don't know where. I think one's from Chicago, one's from Detroit. Right. That's how it works out.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing, man, maybe they need to box it out. That's right. They need to box it out, you know, because they were very disrespectful.
I actually want to see that. Believe it or not, I want to see a celebrity boxing match just to make it known like that's a new method of how we can deal with when somebody crosses the line. It ain't got to get to criminality level. But if we really on that type of time, we ain't got to just be selling wolfing tickets. We can actually get in the ring and actually get out, and could be for charity. I would bet money on it, but that's neither here nor there, man. But I like your idea, and it's unfortunate that I know you're right. I know that trying to look at things from a communal lens is what makes life so much more difficult for people like me. It's way easier to just focus on myself and my family and my career and not give a damn about anybody else that looks like me.
Well, you got to understand, in Asia, all Asians don't get along either. Like, we got this concept in America that if you're black, you're all the same. Asians are all yellow, but they don't view themselves as all the same. You know, the Chinese don't get along with the Japanese. The Japanese don't get along with people from Taiwan, and so on and so forth. You know, like, so to me, like I said, like this idea that if you're black, we're the same. That's the same rhetoric that the racist people spew. You get what I'm trying to say? That, you know, like white people are lesser and white people are greater and this kind of nonsense. So I think that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? I came back from Italy, bro. I won't lie. It changed my view on the world. I met a Chinese dude and I asked him, because I'm so used to when you meet people in America, if they're Asian, you ask where they're from. You don't assume that they're Korean or whatever. You don't assume it. So I asked him where he's from. He got mad at me. He's like, I'm Italian. And I was like, oh, shit. You feel me? In Italy, everybody's Italian. See, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it ain't about your skin color, brother. So me and you, we should be New Jerseyans. We should put New Jersey before race. You feel me? And we from New Jersey. You feel me? Because we as big as Italy. And so if we grew up here, why can't that be the community? Why the community got to be, I'm black, you black from Arkansas, I'm black from Jersey, we're the same. But a white dude from Jersey that grew up in my neighborhood, or Asian dude that grew up in my neighborhood, we're different. We're apart. We can't unite. So I think that's the problem that we're having now, bro. This idea that like there's one ideology that all people got to agree upon if they're black or if they're from America. That shit obviously going to devolve into chaos, and that's what happened on that show.
Yeah, I actually agree. Cold and truth. What y'all think?
So I was very disappointed. You can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was very disappointed in what happened because I watched the whole thing, and I'm an avid watcher of both parties. And I came up with a quote while you was talking because I really like how you approached it. I was going to do it, but I said nah because it's still hot. But you paved the way, so thank you. It's when principles clash without a willingness to understand, the outcome is not resolution but greater division and dissent. And in order for somebody to really want to understand a party, have to be genuine. Because I saw somebody in the chat say maybe they'll hash it out and all that. It's not going to happen. Their masculine frame, their ego has already gotten themselves too far into it where there's room for reconciliation. And genuinely, Anton was not trying to hear Corey out because he said in his live the following morning that he studied Corey. When you studied somebody like that, that shows an air of being condescending. You're not coming into this with a genuine want to hear it out. And I think Corey sniffed it out and was pretty much saying, I bet you want to play that game, fine. And then Anton broke one of the laws of power, which is never outshine the master. You in his lane, respect it regardless of how you feel. You respect it so you can come to a level of understanding. And that didn't happen. And then when Corey did what he did regarding the song and everything, talking about his wife and daughter, then Anton came back with the potential lawsuit and everything. But before that, Anton had this whole like it was the Drake and Meek Mill kind of effect where he went world tour or girls tour. He kept on going on this tirade about how he beat Corey's ass in a fight. And I'm like, you number 47, don't go past the mark of victory. Otherwise, you're gonna let the person that's behind you catch up. And Corey caught up.
Mhm.
It was happening all the time. That's what I made that comment earlier. And I'm thinking to myself, are y'all trying to understand each other, or is this a D-slinging contest? Because that's all I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I had, funny enough, in the interest of transparency, I was in the Discord that Anton advocates or talks about, and I put that in there, and I got booted off the Discord. Trying to eliminate dissension got me booted off the Discord. So that told me everything I needed to know about where he stands on things. And it was just sad because I feel like regardless of the intellect paradigm regarding both of them, I think Corey was actually trying to be genuine with this, but he just didn't know how to articulate himself. And that's why I always have an issue when it comes to this intellect, talent, and tip thing, but I'll leave that alone. I just think that they could have been much better working together, trying to hear each other out than what happened. And the fact is, people love to call lovers, I gotta say, people love to call lovers of Kevin Samuels misogynistic, but yet Corey called Anton's worker a B, and then disrespected his wife and everything. And that just kind of went by the wayside, but yet we're supposed to respect women and everything. That was kind of something that got to me. You pointed that out. You did good. You did real good.
Listen, man, I appreciate it. What about you, Truth?
So
you're muted. Sorry, Cole. Sorry.
Oh, is it my floor for this?
Yeah. Yep.
So I once again appreciate the time. So I'll say that we're drawing a line in the sand, and how Shape said, of course you regulate and be around good people. That's very simple. So we're drawing a line in the sand. I think that this was a good example of of Corey Holcomb standing on Black principles. Of this guy is clearly a community, like, he's bought and paid for. Like, he's preaching. He came there with a mission, and he was being very dishonest. And Corey asked a very genuine question, and everybody and it was very dishonest. And honestly, I think that how y'all mentioned with him going at his daughter and everything along those lines, all of that probably wouldn't happen if they actually would have boxed it out, because it would just been settled there, because it really should have been it should have been taken there. And I have no problem with separating from people that are personally attacking the community. And I think this was a good exposure. Anton has never had to be exposed at this rate, at Corey Holcomb's level. This is a different level of celebrity, and he hasn't been called out and have to stand on something. So this was really a reputation. So now he's trying to get money off of YouTube. So that's just my thing. And I think Corey was standing on principles, and Anton has no foundation. And that's it. That's
hey, listen, man, I appreciate your perspective. Over the course of this last hour, when I've kind of covered this stuff, one of the key things that I kind of wanted to take away was, I think we are losing if we're still looking at this thing through sides. And I think that's a really tough thing. But I think it takes people a while to imagine. It's not saying that there isn't wrong that I can point to that Anton did or that Corey did, right? What I'm basically saying is there was enough wrong and disrespect on both sides, where being led by who's more in the right, they both said and did some foul stuff to me. What I'm more concerned about was what we were willing to ignore and omit and bypass and kind of minimize. Like, for instance, you made it very clear that you believe Corey was standing on truth and defending the Black community because he felt that Anton places too much smoke towards the Black community and not enough towards the white community. Fair critique. My issue is, how are you defending the Black community How are you standing on business and standing up for Black people when you're disparaging Black women and Black children?
Mhm.
Only people who are focused on sides would have ignored that. Because that, to me, is an extension of what you're claiming is supposed to be happening. If you're defending the Black community, the last thing that should come out your mouth is talking about a Black woman, a Black wife, and a Black mother, a child for no reason, unwarranted.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I can understand your viewpoint, but I'm hoping that as men, we get to a place of not being as reactive, much more selective with who we give our allegiance and loyalty and our cheers for. Slow down with the reaction and realize that it wasn't a good look for us individually. It wasn't a good look for us collectively. And what Shape was saying, it starts to make sense why people got to be like, I can't even think about the community because you got these two dudes duking it out, people on both sides agreeing with one side and not the other. And everybody's ignoring the disrespect that was going towards people that had nothing to do with it. And then we claim in these spaces we're men. You get what I'm saying, Cole?
I understand. And my I don't know if you posed that question. My question would be is what does separation and divide look like when we say that, as we said, our skin phone and kinfolk, we don't really rock with these people. I think that's when we say these battle, like this is clearly dissension, and this is what separation looks like. It's not going to be pleasant. And I think that this is a proper reaction. Not now, like I said, the whole like calling out the women and children, of course, that I think if they would have duked it out, that would have been circumvented because they're just going further and further. But Corey Holcomb is already a disrespectful guy. His character, and so that's just what that's my question I'll pose. Like, is that not what separation and divide looks like? And I feel like that was necessary.
Yeah. One, I won't be the only one answering to this. But I'll start off with stating I want people that are big on wanting to separate, wanting to do a dividing line. I hope that we're passionate enough about being intellectually curious about what that actually would look like and what would be the basis of it all. Because a lot of times you and people that talk like this about separating, fine, but the problem is going to be that some very, very brilliant, important people who have very different perspectives on how to address issues, how to fix issues, how to help us, and they may even be more effective than a lot of the people we know, because they vote differently, dress differently, or critique our community or the party we're most aligned with differently. Now they're on the other side. And I think that's the problem, is that there's probably things they know that we don't. And there's things that those who consider themselves liberals or leftists or Democrats know that perhaps those who are conservative leaning or to the right maybe aren't fully as aware of as they should. So for me, if the line is drawn over morality, over ethics, fair. But if the line is drawn on something like what we just saw on that video, like the first guest said, I actually watch and listen to both of them for various reasons. And I wouldn't draw a line that says one or the other I can't do anything with anymore. I've learned a lot from both for different reasons. So, that's the only thing I would be personally a little cautious about. But I understand what people are concerned about when it comes to wanting a line to be drawn. But some of you other fellows that's just recently joined, Leon, Intelligent Design, AJ, what y'all think? What y'all got to say, man?
Hey, I just got off work. About to pick up the kids after I finish saying what I'm saying. But I think one of the major things as Black people that we need to do is understand that the word liberal and conservative has changed over time. And we don't operate like white Americans. And I think sometimes we have to take a look at both the characters Anton and the guy from 5150. I don't watch neither one of the shows,
Mhm.
but Anton is a conservative or a Republican,
Mhm.
but he hires black women and black guys that are very liberal, very progressive, and he employs black people.
Yeah.
Corey Holcomb, he's more liberal sided, and he hires black people.
Yep.
That's I think that's where we have to begin to in my basically what I'm saying is I think we have to start defining ourselves through our own terms, and that these terms that those people made, and we try to align ourselves because it's very constricting
Mm.
how they created these basically caste progressive, socialist, liberal, centrist. They have a word for everything,
Mhm.
so you can find a spot that you don't perfectly align in. And I think the major thing when you look at Black history after slavery, there were capitalists and there were communalists, and the capitalists built their community. They built the barbershops. They built the gyms. They invested back into their community. So you have Anton, who invests back, and you have the other gentleman who invests back.
Mhm.
And I think, but when I say this, Anton, both of them have conservative people and progressive and liberal people that work for them,
Yep.
and they're black. And I just want to get to the point to where we don't define ourselves how white people define ourselves. And the other part that I want to say before,
Because you gonna say that part over again. You said you wish what?
I wish black people
Mm-hmm.
attempted to make their own theory or classification of how we define ourselves within our communities, not based off
Thank you.
off liberal. Because it's hard to even look at Corey Holcomb side with liberals when white women in general and liberals and progressives and LGBT don't like comedians.
Yeah.
It's a weird, like they don't want you. How do you get on stage and say jokes? I want 2006 back. I can't have 2006.
Using titles and descriptors.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Malcolm X tried to warn us about, man.
Mm-hmm.
What Malcolm was trying to warn us about trying to use labels that we didn't even create ourselves to define where we are. And like you said, the labels they morph, they change, they adapt over time. But the secondary issue, man, is like we're allowing labels that came from out on the outside to kind of impact the relationships we have with each other.
Yes.
And I'm like, external labels now means, okay, as an example, I'm now officially an independent. I've been a progressive my entire life. Well, since I've been a teenager and adult. I voted Democrat all the way up until 2022. 2022, and I switched my party affiliation to the Green Party in 2024.
Jill Stein, I voted for.
Yeah, right. Yep. And I did it off of certain principles, right? But that doesn't mean in a given election, based off of what I have available to me, I'm not going to vote for the Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whoever that I think most aligns with what I'm looking for. Like I'm in that headspace, right? So it's wild to see how tribal everybody got about the politics, about how they were looking at the situation. And like I said earlier, I really did see that video as a mirror of kind of how we're carrying ourselves in society, where we are intolerable with people having nuance and different viewpoints on how to skin the cat. And this is my argument. If the singular way of viewing it, if one way of viewing, one way of voting, one way of moving was enough to actually fix things, I imagine our situation as individuals and collectively would be radically different if it was working.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yesterday,
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm gonna roll it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because I gotta leave. I gotta pick up my daughter from this guy.
Same,
Good night
same.
to good night to everyone. I just wanted to say something. When you watch when both of them converse, the frustration for me was Corey would ask a question,
Mm-hmm.
Anton will answer it, and then quickly move on. Corey will quickly move on to something else. The whole
Mm-hmm.
thing about what happened with when he said, "Why can't you say something about white men?" When what Anton was saying is that, but that wasn't the point. I was saying that no one is monolith. So I don't say all white people is this. That's similar to what you said at the start of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Not all black people are this. If this group of people are, I am reporting of this person, I'm talking about the personalities of that person. Because we are born in skins that we don't control, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have no control. We're born, we're black, we're white, but the character changes from person to person. And I think that is the ideal position. And this what this whole convict shows is that, as you said, that people already who didn't like Anton, it didn't matter what happened,
Yep.
he would have been wrong.
Yep.
Because you can't tell me if you stand on morals, because if Anton had spoken about Corey's family, then it would have been a different conversation. And this whole idea about suing, Anton never said he's going to sue. That's a narrative that's been pushed on the internet because if you look at the
Mm-hmm.
Million Morning Show, someone brought that up in the chat. He said, "Where do you guys get this from? I never said I was going to sue anyone,
Mm-hmm.
right?" But
Mm-hmm.
people ran with that because if you can find a video where he says that he's going to sue, then I'll take it back. He never said that.
Mm-hmm.
So he even noticed when Corey spoke about his wife and his daughter, Anton stayed quiet. He spoke
Mm-hmm.
about how his daughter felt, and after that, he stopped speaking about it. But Corey kept speaking about it. So there's this narrative that, yes, and what I would say Anton did wrong was the whole victory lap. He should have left it alone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He kind of poked the bear a bit. So he went a bit too far with it, and Corey did what he did. I am not excusing Corey. I just find once you bring the children in it, it's a difficult. And then men start to wonder about who's sleeping with who, and it's a, those are people who already didn't like Anton. So now you have a reason to pull at the scab. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. But I like your idea. They both have good personalities and good things that they could take from one another, and they are both successful. It would have been better if they could have had a fruitful conversation.
Listen, man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you, gentlemen. I do have a couple more people that are going to be popping on as well, so I'm going to make space for them. So Leon, I'm going to bump you.
Yeah, can I finish out the last part?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think this idea of pointing out and talking about the people that pay you is not the right thing to do. We're aware.
Okay.
Usually
Mhm.
usually if you're working on the conservative side, white guys are paying you.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
don't potentially mess up your bag.
Mhm.
My thing is for all black people, most of us work for white people in some shape or form.
How you
And
doing, everybody?
there's a glass ceiling just working in the black community. So when you attempt to work with other people, they're not going to fully align with you.
Mm.
And like we said about liberals and you know, some black women organizations and black men organizations,
Mhm. Mhm.
before we go on a full criticizing them,
Mhm.
if they're getting funding from a particular party, a congressperson, maybe we should engage with them and understand if what they're funding is it beneficial to the community that you live in
No, I get
before we go on these attacks, because there's a glass ceiling for a
Mhm.
lot of things if you're only operating within your group.
I
And I'll leave it
appreciate
there.
that. I appreciate that feedback for sure. Mr. B, what about you? I know you've been patient.
You
Oh,
have a
no
good night.
problem. Hey, you have a good night, man. Hey, what's going on, Jeff? I think for me, from my perspective, is that the moment you start attacking somebody, if you lead in a conversation with a personal attack, hey, why do you kiss the tail of somebody, or why? Once you do that, you already eliminate the ability to have a shared understanding. You already create a contentious conversation It's unfortunate that Anton took the bait and jumped in and had his own set of ad hominem. And once that happened, the barriers of communication were up. I mean, it was a lost cause as soon as that started. When they started bickering back and forth like that, I felt very embarrassed, just like kind of how you felt. It's like I got respect for both of them, but to see them debase themselves in front of their own viewership and have that type of conversation when they had so much more potential to have a dope conversation on why they think the way they are, I think it was a lost opportunity. And back to that one person's statement and call me shape about black people not being a monolith. I agree with that 1,000%. I align with the people. Most people align with the people that they share the same shared values. Yep. Like me and a dope dealer on the block. The only difference we have if he's a black person is that we share blackness. Our value system is vastly different. You believe in selling, doing something illegal, selling drugs and whatever. Not. As for me, I'm in my house. I'm chilling. I'm working a 9 to 5. I don't have the same value sets as me. So even though there's something to be learned from different sets of people, most people will align with the people that they have a shared value with. I retired from the military about 3 years ago, and one thing I learned about being in the military is there's something called organizational culture. Every time you get to a new unit or a new assignment, you get indoctrinated into that new culture. That new culture has a shared value system. And what we keep making the mistake in the black community is that we think that we're just this one big organization when we're not just one big organization. We're multiple different organizations with different cultures and different sub values that we must understand in order to truly be able to communicate. Anton and Corey are in two different buckets. But unless you seek to understand how that other bucket talks, how that organization processes stuff, you're always going to be talking past each other. And you're always going to debase down into attacks or base down to misunderstandings. And unfortunately, this misunderstanding, had this not been on camera, I think it could have easily devolved into fisticuffs. Into somebody fighting.
Just to get a couple more people in, just because I don't want everybody waiting too long. Tangalina, is it Tangalina? Can you unmute? Can you unmute Tangalina or no? All right. Well, while we wait on her workflow, Dre, is that what's going on, good brother?
How you doing, man?
What's happening, man? What's up with you?
First of all, I love what you're doing, man. Keep it up, man. Love what you got going. I just want to say, like, as a fan of both, I watch quite a bit of both, gentlemen. And I was actually excited to see the meetup. When I saw I get on YouTube, I see the Anton Daniels, Corey Holcomb link up. I'm like, man, this is gonna be good. And here we are. It wasn't what I was expecting. But I feel like you touched on it a few times after some other people said what they had to say. It really had a lot to do with the side picking and the kind of being oblivious to certain facts and making excuses for one another. Whichever side you're picking and just not being unbiased. And it's like I feel like a lot of us came to this community when it comes to ridiculing and criticizing black women. We all was on one accord when it came to that. And then when it's time to check ourselves, or put that mirror up to ourselves, it's like now it's a problem. Now we're starting to see the real issues in ourselves, and we have a problem checking that. Yep. And I heard a lot of that on the panel, a lot of excuses and a lot of, going down rabbit holes about
I seen it in the comments, man.
Personal gripes and whatnot. Man, we gotta cut that out.
Yeah, man.
Put
like
that
at the end of
mirror
the
up.
day, this had nothing to do with how black women look. This had nothing to do with women, females, feminism. It had nothing to do with anything but men.
No,
Exactly.
it showed extreme emotionalism. emotionalism. The very thing that you heard Corey and Anton both argue against and say that that's when we're wrong. That's what you saw. They debasing the very thing that they always argue against.
I just want to say one last thing,
Mhm.
and it's pertaining to, I've been seeing this a lot. The who disrespected who first. And I just want to say something, like, since I've been leaning a lot more conservative, 34, got a daughter, a single dad, leaning more conservative. And a lot of the times when I express my viewpoints, I get a lot of that condescending insults like what Anton got. I felt that for him. Now, we may not want to acknowledge that, and that's fine. But I felt that. The coon comments and the, and it's like
on the usual
it's
go.
like I'm raising a black daughter. Little do you know, but I just wanted to speak on that kind of stuff. You don't know what's level of disrespect something is. Yeah. And I feel like that's right up there with anything else you wanna match it with. It's disrespectful.
Listen, man,
love the show,
I
man.
agree. I agree with that, man, and thank you for that, bro. I agree with your framing of it, which was, again, that people really got lost in who they like more. Because the idea that that the disrespect didn't start until Anton said what he said about sucking D. I'm like, was y'all listening? Did y'all hear what was like? And it wasn't to say that it was even, but again, what I said earlier was, our view of disrespect is one where sometimes we'll give it a pass if we agree with it. And a lot of stuff was being sent towards Anton's way. And the people that agree with Corey is like, if their viewpoint is, I really believe he's just attacking the community, he hates black people, he's pandering to white. If they really believe all these things are true, anything that Corey said towards Anton, regardless of how negative it would have been fine and justified. We're seeing it in the comments now. That's why they equate bringing up his wife and his child and saying he's a sellout with standing up for the community. Whoa. So not the employing black people, black women and black men, and giving them jobs and opportunities, improving how they're viewing economics, changing the trajectory of how they're moving in different business spaces. That's not standing up for the black community. Talking about this man's wife and child and another black or brown woman, all of which had nothing to do with this spat between the two of them. Now they're standing up like, come on, y'all.
And that's to add injury to insult by being fans of both. Knowing who was backstage and knowing her relevance to Anton, it's like, don't do Mika like that.
Yeah,
we know Mika. We fans of both. We know D. We know Craig. We know Mika. We know we know the crew on the night show. So it was it was a hit.
Yeah,
to
man.
The black community.
Tankalina, what about you?
Well, first of all, just like the other gentleman said, thank you, Jeff, for your platform, for being willing to do what you do. And I just happened to get on my phone and I saw your page come up on YouTube, and I like the fact that you said there was something that we missed. And so listening, I didn't catch it from the very beginning, but listening, I'm glad that you, for me, was the first person who said, let's dissect it. Let's look at it from the big picture, and then let's dissect what people are admiring about both arguments. And I like the fact that you said, if you're picking sides, you are missing a point. For me, I didn't follow it. I've heard of Anton, but I didn't really know much about him. I'm from Chicago, so I'm familiar with Corey Holcomb. He can be a bit vulgar, but in some ways I do appreciate what he tries to get across sometimes. And then sometimes I just be like, Corey, you're too much. But
what's happening, AJ?
I think that there are things that, like you said, they were they were right and wrong for different reasons.
Yep.
And I think that this is a learning moment for people, for our people and people in general who are witnessing, to just learn how to witness a battle, a public battle, and also how to engage in a battle. And being able to say and dissect and say, okay, I agree that this person shouldn't have said this. And I agree that there are consequences. That doesn't mean that this consequence was fitting. And you should just absolutely just agree with everything that a person stands for because you think that person is wrong. You know, when I saw Corey blasting Anton's wife, of course I was like clutching my pearls because I'm just like, sir, that's not the way to go about it. I did understand his way because that's a way that some of our people operate. And I think that because Anton positions himself to be intelligent, more thoughtful, because he said that he studied Corey, he said so many things for me that puts the burden of proof on him. Because if you are this man who is, what word am I thinking of?
Cerebral, calculated.
If you're such a calculated man, you threw that calculator out the window.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because if you know who you're dealing with,
listen,
you would go in and in conversation, if you are an orator, if you are a public speaker, you know there's an art to even teaching people how to talk to you about how you talk to them. There's an art to how to bring the conversation back to the main point, regardless of how wild this person goes and how loud they are, because you get them. I get that's how you are, but you know, you can laugh at it and say, all right, okay, I know you're a comedian, I know you this, but this is really what's going on. And Corey, honestly, can be, I know not all the time, he can be meek in that regards where he could follow you, especially if you're respectful to him.
Yeah.
And we see that he'll be a wild, you know, I was about to say savage if you disrespect him, you know, but he can be very, very yielding to respect.
You're not going to win a war of words against Corey.
Anton to position himself as this such intelligent man, you did not really control the situation. And as the other gentleman said, he was actually more combative. And then for him to get on the next day and say, you know, I knew this was going to happen. So really not saying that what Corey did was right, but it really falls on you, because if you say you knew this would happen, you put your family in a line of fire. When you started disrespecting that man and being combative to him and knowing he's not operating on the same frequency, he's a Neanderthal, as you say, you put your family in the line of fire. And I think that subconsciously, that's why a lot of people are picking sides. I don't know if everybody, some people are, you know, I don't read comments like that. So I get that some people are very unthoughtful and they're just picking sides. But I think some people subconsciously is like, you positioned yourself as the bigger man and you were not.
Yeah.
And this is what you get. This is what you get, because like Corey said, he said, I'm a dirtbag. So you don't have high expectations out of him, but you said, Anton, you were different.
I think,
how are you? And sorry, I'll say this last point.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You know, Jeff, you were going down a list of things that Anton has done for the community. And I was kind of sitting here and I'm just like, he's teaching people greed in a sense. Bag chaser. And you're only helping just a few. But if you teach principles, you'll help many.
Mm-hmm.
But the only principle you're teaching is money.
Yeah,
That's not really helping the community.
there's a few things.
Now,
So just
Corey, yeah, he felt like he was standing up for the community, but that's a principle that we all can agree to. And I'm not saying that he was or did.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I was gonna say because I don't want.
I can't hear you. Are you telling me to stop?
Yeah. What I was basically stating was
I
that
can't hear him. But
yeah, one of the things I was stating was that I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm not the biggest fan of going in the weeds of trying to give grades on how much people have given back to the Black community, because there's a legitimate argument that those two men have done more than 95% of us that are talking about them. And when somebody says, oh, well, you just gave them jobs, that's probably more than most of us have ever done for anybody else. So I'm not going to nickel and dime their contributions to the Black community because it's going to look different. There's going to be people who are just teachers. And I wouldn't, because they didn't put somebody in a house, because they didn't teach people about the efficacy or the ethics of this or that, or teach them political theory, that they haven't given back. I think we all have our particular role in space of how we can give back. And I think that they have their lanes. The point I'm making is, without people that are teaching us how to survive and make it in the capitalist system so that we aren't constantly asking and begging in a position of begging, but that we're actually in a position of leverage. One of those two parties is probably moving us closer to doing that on a macro level than the other. Now, does that mean that Corey isn't doing a whole host of things that's helping the people who are supporting him? He probably is, including his actual team and production in his company. So for me, I don't get too in the weeds of that, just because once they get to that level, and if they're still engaging with our community and they're offering jobs and helping people with making certain business moves, and they're already doing more than 90% of the people who's yapping about them, to be fair. So yeah. Mr. B, I know you, AJ, my bad. Go ahead, AJ.
Oh yeah. So just to be short, I do like how you said that everyone has their own lane. Guys, obviously Jeff has his own lane, and we've already seen comments where people have asked Jeff to do, to be this one size fits all for everyone. Guys, he has his lane. He does a lot of good, but he can't do 100%. So I think that we need to respect what everyone has to contribute to the community and not try to instantly disqualify. I think that with TikTok, social media, and having access to celebrities and people, we feel more connected, and that means that we as people try to disqualify people based on perceived mistakes. And I was looking forward to this entire thing because I've been watching Corey for years, and I've been watching Anton since the Lapeef days during the cough. You know what I'm saying? So, so I believe that both of their hearts are in the right place. So that's why I was so excited to see them do a collab. I never thought that they would ever do one because their lanes are so different. And the fact that it went so bad, at first it was kind of strange because everyone was just going crazy with covering this stuff. And then it was just like it was so much disappointment because there's not a lot of room for people of Anton's status or Corey's status being Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have a lot of room. There's not a lot of space for people in social media, acting, comedy. So a coalition, them working together, could only make things better. So there was a real lost opportunity there where they could have networked and done other things. And to me, I'll always be a fan of both. This conflict is not enough for me to disqualify one or the other. I just am going to compartmentalize them both and say, well, this is what Corey says, this is what Anton says. Neither shall the two meet. You know what I'm saying? I think I was kind of shocked, like you had said, that people were so on one person's side or so on the other person's side. And then after the fact, like they were going after each other. They're too grown for this. You know what I'm saying? Like they are grown. They're grown. You know, like the guys, my age, Jeff's age.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. B's got some gray in the beard too, like I do. You know what I'm saying? We're too grown, but we are too grown for this. You know what I'm saying?
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think we're too grown for this. But I think, I don't know what it was with Cat Williams, but we are in the age of people being exposed. Even Corey is being exposed. Yeah. You're exposing Anton, and you're being exposed. What is really going on with people and behind it is being exposed.
Michael B. Jordan just did an interview, and they asked him, why is he never on social media? And he said that Denzel sat him down. You remember he did the interview? Yeah. Denzel said, don't you put your business out there on the internet. Keep private, because people aren't going to want to see you on the silver screen if they see your morning routine on TikTok. So that's why Denzel, Michael B., they're very private people. Angela Bassett, they're very private people. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah just
go ahead, Mr. B.
Oh, speaking of the Tangelina thing, when she was saying is, I thought about what Mike Tyson said when, in terms of Anton Dane, talking about he studied Corey and everything. Hey, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and as soon as he leveled that ad hominem and said that, hey, you must kiss butt, he just went off track. Like all that training, all that stuff you was talking about, I done studied. You should have known. Oh, Corey gonna say some wild stuff. Corey is known for all of this. So none of his stuff, it's almost like, Jeff, when you did the interview with Charleston White, like you being shocked by anything Charleston. Like if you study Charleston White, you would know what you're gonna expect. And it's almost as if Anton was like caught off guard.
Yeah, I watched Charleston for years. It made for good entertainment. I think people wanted to, get that like reaction out of it or whatever.
I can say one last thing, guys. If you want to have more panels, because we like talking to Jeff, guys, just please when you call in, try and have a headset and try and keep your background noise to a minimum, and then always turn the YouTube off in the background so we don't get an echo, right? So that we can keep the quality good for all the viewers, and then Jeff can keep having these call-in shows because. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. But all right, you guys. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
All right, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, Mr. B, and it's true that it takes us a while. And I think the reason why I decided to approach it totally different, this particular show, is because I'm trying to get us to do the thing that Tangelina was talking about. Basically become much more introspective, reflective, and thoughtful about how we should proceed and engage with each other and with people in general. A lot of times when we watch that stuff, it's very entertaining, but we never look at it through the lens of what if that was me? And if that was indeed me, would that have been a good look for my wife and my children and my child? Probably not, right? So now that I've seen that, do I just see it as entertainment or do I see it as a lesson? And that's
definitely a lesson.
That's the goal for me as I'm trying to cover it this go around is what am I learning and observing in myself that perhaps I need to adjust it and shift and change to make sure that I don't put myself in situations like that. And B, if indeed I do find myself in situations like that, how can I approach the conversation in a way that de-escalates or prevents it from escalating in the first place, like Tangelina was mentioning?
Well, Jeff, I think that you've been in situations like that already. What's the one young lady that you've been talking to that you invited on? Everybody was like, why did you invite her on? Jazz, yeah. And guess what? You anytime that she said something that would have normally triggered somebody else, would have normally sent somebody else down the rabbit hole, you was always classy and kept it above board and kept it very objective. I think I'm not pitting you against Anton or Corey, but I will say this and just giving you your flowers that your level of objectivity is breathtaking and it's definitely refreshing in this space because there's so much polarization in the man, women, the manosphere, red pill, whatever you want to call it. And that's what made me want to subscribe to your channel, is that your level of objectivity and your level of clear-headedness, because there's no wrong or right. There's just what is, and you're very good at telling things of just what things are.
I really, really appreciate that. All my friends and family would laugh hearing y'all say this because my history and track record from high school till damn near 30 was not
track record from high school till
sacred
damn near 30
sacred
was not track record from high school till sacred damn near 30.
There you go. They would be laughing because I was probably known as like the crash out king, where it did from senior year in high school on our senior trip in Disney World. I got into a fight and altercation in Disney World.
Oh wow!
Got restrained, like the whole night. It was crazy, and down to just all the way up until about maybe 28, 29. I just would have these moments when I would just snap and lose it. And as I was getting close to 30 and I started reevaluating what I was doing and what I was risking every time I did that, I had to start to realize that there's more to it than just just reacting because I feel like it, because I'm mad. And that was the beginnings of me being able to recognize, like, you're right, there is an art to trying to learn how to do this, but it's hard. It's definitely hard, and I'm not going to be one that's like, oh, if I was there, I would have. I don't know how I would have handled it. I know as a commentator, I know as a reactor, how I wish it could have gone, and my hope is that we're not watching this stuff just strictly through entertainment, but when moments like this happens, we're actually looking at it through the lens of how does this make us look? Have I done or said things very similarly to that? And what can I learn so that I am a better reflection of what we're capable of being and looking like, versus debasing and going down to that lower level of vibration and expressing my emotions in that way. If every person that was upset put hands on somebody else, we all be in jail.
Exactly.
We all be in jail. So at some level, we got to acknowledge that, like, I know what a lot of y'all in the chats are saying you wish they should have did or what they should have done. And the reality is y'all only say that because y'all don't care about those men or their families.
That's true.
That's really what that means to me. Sacred Serpent, welcome, good brother.
What's good, brother? How you doing?
Welcome. Do you have what's your input?
First, I want to give you flowers and say shout out to you. I appreciate you. You're a breath of fresh air. I will continue to clip your work because it's just necessary and needed. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I say it's a certain level of ingratiation that needs to come with people when you're going on someone else's show, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that the tone and the manner in which that he came on that show, he gave off the feeling like he could care less and like he was better than Corey. And I think that started everything off on an odd or weird foot, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I think that when he got to the point of saying that he doesn't have any limits, I think that's when he opened the door for whatever could come after that to come after that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Corey is a comedian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's not a regular comedian. He's a provocative comedian.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And so when you come on someone's show like that and you tell them that you don't have no limits, and you tell them that you good, you don't have no boss, you tell, and then at the same time as being two grown men, you mention dick and man and suck in the same sentence. Like that's all out of bounds as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. But then on the flip side, if Corey knew he wasn't willing to take it that far, he shouldn't have gotten the man's face. The necessity of that seems weird. It seems odd and off-putting.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I think that what a lot of people are forgetting is the fact that when we talk about media and people in media, they believe that all attention is good attention.
One show.
Right?
Mm.
No matter what type of fans like or dislike exists, like it's irrelevant because the eyes is what matters to the creator, especially in media when we're talking about media.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the way I view it is that if you felt a particular type of way about Anton going in, your mind wasn't changed. If you had a particular type of view or insight as to how you view Corey, that interview didn't change it either.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
really believe that.
So I do believe, like what you said, confirmation bias was a thing. Can I go into the locker and get some board stuff? Yeah. It's a big one. And I just think that it's not as serious as people are making it out to be, especially if you're still fans of these people, right? If you're watching this from afar and you're not a fan of any one of these people, it can come off very off-putting, and you just view it as weird, like two grown-ass men encroaching each other to fight and not really wanting to fight. You know what I'm saying? But I think at the end of the day, it started a necessary conversation for the people that view these kind of people, the people that follow these people, and the people that are trying to find another way with their life. And I'll land there.
Nah, man. I appreciate that for sure. And I agree with so much of your viewpoints. Rosan, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Welcome. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Man, I've been following your content for a little over a year now. I love the work you're doing. And I think that you're shooting it straight down the middle, like not as a centerist, but just you calling it like it is. So I just want to start by giving you your flowers. All right. I've been sharing your content with both family, friends, women I'm dating, everything. Because
hold on. Do the ladies still like you now that you?
But you know what they do, because here's the thing. A lot, for years, women said that they didn't like Kevin Samuels because of how his talk. Well, not how he spoke, how he talked to the women and whatnot, his tone. But here you are with all the same points and some. And it's like, all right, what y'all got to say now? So at that point, it's forcing the conversation to be had. So I want to give you your flowers when it comes to that out the gate.
Thank you.
As far as your points with this conversation, on both sides, the whole community, we lost.
Facts.
Both sides, the whole community, we lost. It don't matter if you're a Corey fan, Antoine fan, we lost. And then it's us as the consumers. You know, because we go right or left, we lost. All right. Flat out. But it was something that needed to be had. These conversations, this whole clash needed to be had because we needed this moment to be introspective, to look at, you know, where our values truly lie. I will say this, though, because I was a fan of both of them before all of this, right? Both of them.
Okay. Yeah.
I will say this, though.
Okay.
A lot more has come out about Antoine since then. A lot of things where I'm kind of looking at him a little different now. You know, both about his past, you know, really like who he really is, and then also how things have played out in the public with how he's handled it since he was on the show. And I think that I think somebody should pull his collar, pull his coat, and tell him to sit down somewhere. I don't expect nothing different from Corey.
Yeah.
The show is called 5150 for a reason. I expect nothing different. But like I said before, man, I think you called it straight down the middle. You know, and I think what you're saying essentially in the end is that, you know, as a community, we need some help.
Listen, I appreciate that, and the crazy part is, I literally I guess it was on my algorithm. People were saying that about Corey, with the whole allegation with the female that he had the physical altercation with out in the street, and that just came out, I think, last week, and people are like side-eyeing him now, and I think my view of both of them and celebrities and influencers in general is I actually only look to the things that I think that they're stating that are true, that make sense and I think are wise. I really don't lean in too much to like their personal lives and other stuff unless there's a crime being committed. Because what happens is I think when we get disheartened, when we find out somebody's cheating on their significant other or they have some moral failure, we tend to toss out all the truth or good things that they brought. And what ends up happening is now we have no heroes. And I'm like, I think in my mind, the only way we're going to continue to grow and adapt is not waiting for perfection in the people that we're getting any types of access to wealth, understanding, networking, improving our fashion, making it in the corporate world, et cetera, et cetera. We can't look for moral demand more. We can hope for moral perfection, but just because it's not maybe there or is not confirmed to be there, isn't really a great argument if we don't have adequate replacements. So for instance, if we got a really, really wealthy dude that has an unusual understanding of whatever's happening with social media as we're moving into the age of AI, as more and more people are working remotely, you'd be foolish to ignore the person that's black or brown that's arguably taking advantage of it more than anybody else, other than the one guy, I forgot his name, that does all his reactions to he does his reviews of technology. I forgot his name. He got the haircut and the I can't remember his name, but it's a black dude. But other than him, like, so we'd be foolish to not inquire, like, how'd he do that? What's he doing? How he get there? Because when you throw everything out with him, that's fine. Who replacing him? Who's the person that you're now, if that was what you were looking to him for, who are you replacing him with so that you're continuing to learn and grow? And if it's no one, then I would argue you really only spite yourself. So that walking that fine line between learning taking and seeking knowledge where I can find it, but not placing everybody on a pedestal to where I should be worshiping them, you're not really easily swayed too much when you find out something happens. Something's going on. You could still appreciate the art. You could still appreciate the wisdom and recognize that at times as human beings, they're not going to always be able to apply that wisdom. And I think that to me is like a healthy view. I don't know what's your thoughts about that, Rasan? Yeah. What's your thoughts?
Yo, no, I agree 1,000%. I agree that I don't think you should, fall into the whole cult of personality, syndrome of where you're following somebody to death, no matter right or wrong. I don't believe in the whole right or wrong. I think if you wrong, somebody need to call you and say, hey, no, you wrong.
Fair.
Like if you wrong, I can't fool with you on that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I think that you show real love and concern by offering that type of counsel or discipline. The scripture goes, spirit of rod, spoil the child. And it's the same thing when it comes to holding the people accountable, whether if you appreciate them as a content creator or influencer or whatever, you hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So no, I agree. If you're, as long as you ain't too far left or too far right, a situation like this isn't really gonna shake you up too bad.
Yeah.
But it will offer some more. It'll definitely be an eye opener.
Nah, I agree with that, and I actually like your point that you're taking away from this. And then Eric Christ writes, "Why is the conversation about picking sides of people and not about what the truth, and the best interest is?" Well, Eric Christ, I'm going to tell you, part of the issue is if people are looking at things primarily through an emotional, feelings-based lens, they can't even determine what the initial truth is. This is how we get to a space where when someone does say something that may actually objectively be true, their feelings dictate whether or not they'll accept it as such. Case in point, if a lot of things that Anton says about the Black community is not favorable, not kind, doesn't make us feel good, but is objectively accurate and true, rather than discussing or figuring out what it is that we need to do to change that, it's easier to just say he's making it up, he's a liar, and he's a coon and a sellout. That's easier. So that tends to happen where it's like when I did my episode on Charlie Kirk and I critiqued him, I had to walk that fine line between, is there anything that he's saying that may actually be true or accurate on top of the things that I believe are false? Or am I going to pretend that 100% of everything that came out of his mouth was objectively false? And that's the case with situations like this. When people approach the conversation where they've already decided who you are and what they won't listen to, it doesn't actually matter if you're speaking truth. They'll base it on your lifestyle. They'll base it on if you're gay or straight. They'll base it on where you were born. They'll base it on who you're married to. They'll base it on everything, but actually whether or not what you said is actually true or not. What Anton said during that interview is that the smoke that he does have for white people seems to be specifically for liberals, not white people in general. Corey's perspective is that Anton has a lot of smoke for black people in general. And that was the disconnect. That was the disconnect. That was the disconnect. Because when Anton talks about the black community, and I'm assuming he's not talking about himself if he's talking negatively. I'm assuming he's not talking about his circle of his family, like his brothers and all of them who are married and not divorced and haven't had any children out of wedlock. They're all considered still black. So he's, in my mind, and when I'm listening to Anton, that's how I take it, where I'm assuming he's talking about those it applies to. But then with people who don't like what Anton has to say, they'll take generalizations that maybe aren't generalizations, and they'll ignore objective facts that of things that he's targeted towards white or black people because they don't like Anton. So that's where I'm at, man, where it's like, can we get to a place where we can disagree, come to agreement about common core things, and actually use and build what we have individually and actually turn it into something tangible for us? Or are we really in the camp of let's just watch this crabs in the barrel thing again and again and not realize this is just a mirror of how we actually are in real life? So, you know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's up?
And I guess now I'm falling into the whole crabs in the barrel thing.
Yeah.
How much research have you done on Antoine since this whole debacle? Like, I mean, on like really like, because one of the questions that was asked, and then later I seen a few videos about it from a few different content creators, was about who he really was, right? Or who he really is. Like how did he get his whole come up when it comes to finances or whatnot? Like he's known for having
father passing, how he got money, life insurance, all that stuff.
Yeah, so he's known for having business acumen, right? But in the reason why I'm asking this is because what business acumen has he promoted? I mean, like his content as far as like commenting on the communities and different things that are going on and whatnot. I totally get it. Most of the stuff I agree with, his take. But as far as business goes, like his foundation, what he says he is, who is he?
Well, for one, he's really big in real estate. You're not clearing $10 million from YouTube alone. So you're definitely doing other things to generate the type of income that he's clearing. And on the Millionaire Morning Show, for those that watch it, he actually talks about actual industries. Now, whether you believe it or not, believe him or not, of whether or not he's actually investing in those industries is to anyone's, chagrin, and they can decide if whether or not they can take him at face value or not. But in terms of how people start with money, I got family members that started with drug money and are millionaires now. The people that are a lot of the people that are billionaires today, their parents were millionaires. I'm not super. We would never say that about the people who start all these social media things, and you realize and look back, oh, I just got a meager grant from my parents for $100,000 to start my business. Like what? Or loan, you know what I'm saying? So like the reality is it's not necessarily about how you started or even how you initially got it. It's like, did you maintain it? Did you build it? Did you expand it? And yeah, the answer is obviously yes. So that's my viewpoint on it. In terms of all the extra stuff or even personal things, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually don't look to him for those things. I have my men's group, which y'all could be a part of, or y'all could sign up for. I have my family. I have my community. I have a whole host of people and things I can look to as it relates to issues and pertains to my relationship and marriage. What it means to become a parent. I got my dad. I got my mom. I got my mother-in-law. I got a whole host of people that I can look to a variety of different things. So the point I'm making is, if he's not for you anymore, that's cool. It's not going to be any skin off my back. I think my view is, like I said earlier, I really do approach, and that's why I'm so easily able to watch Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, independent media, podcasts, etc., because I'm just going to wherever it is that I think that people are going to give me the truth in the subject matter that I think I need it in. I'm not super duper interested in like who they're sleeping with at night. I'm not interested in whether or not they've done some stuff they're not proud of in the past. I'll let the legal system handle that. Where I'm at, I have no control over all those other things. What I really have control over is, if I want to learn more about certain things, do any of the people that's across the screen able to teach me something? And if they do, I'm willing to learn it. And if there's other things that I find out about them that's like not cool, either that's all I'll look to them for, or I'm willing to replace them. And you know, to me, that seems to be a much easier way of living life than attaching my ability to receive information or truth off of whether or not I like or agree or think that this person has always been moral. If that was the case, we'd have no civil rights leaders. Malcolm X wouldn't have made the cut. Martin wouldn't have made the cut. You get what I'm saying? So at some level, it's, again, even if I knew everything that you knew and then some, if there's things I can learn from him, I'll still learn it. And then if there's things that I'm like, I don't want to hear his opinion about blank this or that. As a man, I should be able to decide that, if that makes sense. Cool. I guess I answered that quite well. All right. So I'm going to add these two more people, and then we're going to wrap things up. What's going on, Library, Carl Holder, and Fly Black Guy as well? What's going on, gentlemen?
All right. What's going on?
What's going on, brother?
What y'all thinking?
Thinking a whole lot, actually. First of all, I agree with you. Living in this society where it seems like everybody's forced to pick sides, and absolutes with sides. Like, you can't. One thing I respect about you is the simple fact that you do state that I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I can get information from different sources, but also have enough discernment to not fully be in or totally following what this person is following, or we're not always going to rock about the same things. We're not always going to agree. I don't have to agree, but that doesn't mean that you're not making a point, not making a valid point, or that I can't learn anything from you. So I think that's a very respectful approach. I think that's a very intellectual approach. When we're talking about this Corey and Antoine situation, one of the things that I was growing frustrated with was it was like either you had to pick Corey or you had to pick Antoine.
Yep.
And in that scenario, they both did things wrong. And, but that doesn't mean that they're both terrible individuals. Now, there are things, of course, I don't rock with Antoine about. There are things I definitely don't rock with Corey about. But does that not mean that I can see both of their points? I can see where both of them are coming from. And I can also, as a man who is flawed, can see how that situation between two of them can get out of hand. And I just think it went somewhere it wasn't supposed to go, because at the end of the day, you had two businessmen who have two companies, who have both entrepreneurs and are very good in their spaces, that came together and things got out of control. Because I don't think neither one of them walked into that wanting that result.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the intention, but I think when you're pressing it back against the wall and they both have brands, and both of those brands are wrapped around ego and being who they are, and both standing on who they are, they both unapologetically stand on who they are. Whether you agree with them or not, Antoine's going to be Antoine, and Corey's going to be Corey. And so when you get two, as we want to say, alpha men in the room like that, with those A-type personalities, there's a chance you're going to have that type of situation that occurs.
And listen, I 100% agree with you. Welcome, Mr. Grant. Library Carl Holder, what about you?
Yeah, so the thing with Anton, he creates. I've been on the show before. He definitely creates a space to have conversations, and that's what I dug about his channel at. I mean, I still do. I just stopped going up there. It has nothing to do with the Corey situation. Just kind of how I flow. I'm more of a serious type of person. I don't really do a lot of banter back and forth and cutting off type of thing. I really don't do that. So that just wasn't my vibe. I mean, they never disrespected me or nothing like that. They brought me up. They showed me love. And I was on the panel with all of them, Slimmy, Mika, all of them. It's just how I do business. I'm a very serious person. We're going to have a conversation, all the slick talking, the sarcasm. Me personally, I don't do that. I treat people the same way I would treat you in person online. Nevertheless, the thing with Anton, he doesn't tell the whole truth, right? Like you were speaking about, you can listen to Fox, you can be objective and listen to different people lay out their position on certain things, and that's cool. It's just that you have to tell the whole truth, right? You can't say immigrants come to America and they outwork African Americans that have been here without telling the whole truth about the history of this country. And that's what Anton purposely leaves out. You're from Detroit, Michigan, one of the blackest cities on the planet. You know history if you just know it from listening. You may have never read a book about it, but just being from Detroit, the history that Detroit has from not just music, but musically, historically, from civil rights movement to the underworld, to the pimping, to the businesses out there, how business is done out there, to the Ford plants, the plants being moved out of there, to the housing market, buying properties for $1, all the stuff that's going on in Detroit. The music, the hip hop scene is very eclectic and different than a lot of music scenes, even in New York, right? So you have a lot of things that Detroit, represents, and to be disingenuous as he is when he talks about black folks and what we got going on here, that's where I draw the line with him, And Corey is like the people's champ. That's why, even though Corey was wrong for going at his daughter and even his wife, because they had nothing to do with the situation, people kind of still sided with Corey because he's the people champ. He speaks for the day-to-day, everyday people. And people have sat and watched Anton play games with what's going on with black folks in this country for real. That's, my overall position right now.
Now, I appreciate both your brothers' vantage points, and I've definitely heard that from a lot of people who have been critical of Anton, that they felt like, and it's two-sided. The initial critique is exactly what you said, but the secondary critique is they always felt like he didn't have that same type of energy and criticism towards conservatives. He doesn't often have that towards those on the right.
White folks. Like Corey said.
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem with that framing. Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom, what's the Joker name in Minneapolis? Tim Walz. Last time I checked, they ain't brothers. So he actually, strangely enough, does have the smoke for white people that happen to be the ones that a lot of black Democrats agree with, apparently, at least politically. It's that he doesn't have that same level of critique with those on his camp. And I think that's a fair criticism, that he's not consistent when it comes to pointing out the hypocrisy, flawed logic, double standards, the fact that white nationalists and supremacists can very openly be a part of the Republican Party. That's all exists. And trying to pretend and act as if that's not also there, even if it's not the majority, it's still there, and it's significant enough to where people that have those type of views are mainstream. They're very well known. We've seen them on TV. You know what I'm saying? Now, would I be the one to point to a crazed white liberal woman with blue hair and that has 20 cats and hates men and saying this is all Democrats? No, I think this is probably a reflection of quite a few of them, but I don't think that's all of them. And I don't think that the person who's a white nationalist or supremacist is probably an overwhelming majority of people that consider themselves Republicans either. But by avoiding that conversation, not being critical of that, that opens them up to these type of criticisms that you're talking about.
Is that
where, yeah, like you literally, there are instances where people have voted for Donald Trump for particular specific reasons. And when he reneged or did not do some of those things, or people in his cabinet that ran on certain agendas, then they got in there and then they switched up completely. That sounds an awful like every other administration we've ever had.
Facts.
Right? And rather than just own that and say, yo, FBI director, you was put in to do X, Y, and Z, and 90% of it, you just tried to downplay and act like stuff wasn't happening. And this the crazy part. I'm going to give MAGA this because I don't consider myself MAGA. I'm not even close to MAGA. But I'm going to give them this. One of the reasons they actually voted for was the Epstein files. And when it kept coming up, and when people in this administration was downplaying it and saying, it's a nothing burger and this, and that, when it could have been brought up at any point over the last 6 years, and it could have been put out to the way it's been recently released, it was because of people in their side. Because again, the last 4 years, people could have been pushing for the Biden administration to do this and to push for the Justice, Department to do this. It just so happened to be at the same time that his people was in that enough friction and smoke and things happened. And it happened from people on their side holding their people accountable. All I want is people on both sides of the aisle to hold the people that they're holding up so highly, hold them accountable and hold their feet to the fire and stop giving them votes for free. That's it. And that's what I would hope and expect people like Anton with the platform that he does to get a little bit better at being able to do that. Because I know he doesn't want to mess up being able to go on Fox.
I was gonna say, you don't want to mess up that money.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I get that too.
Yep.
But when you also enter into these spaces, this is what opens you up to this type of attacks. So how does he walk that fine line? First of all, brother, you rich enough. So at that point, money's not really a problem. So that would be my critique to him and being like, I think he could, if he heard the feedback and the criticisms about this stuff in particular, he could come off a little bit more fair and balanced. But you, Grant, what about you, good brother?
Thanks for having me. I mean, I think it's always somewhat insane to be sort of talking about grown men sort of arguing in that fashion. But I think one of the issues is it's not necessarily about those two gentlemen, correct? They appear to be a symptom of how we've, to some extent, a cohort of us, correct? Engage, and that engagement is so it's so familiar that it gains traction, it gains views, it increases their money, correct? So in essence, there's an ecosystem that's happening here. On the one hand, we're saying these two individuals who are an archetype of a particular type of behavior or a type of engagement that feels very familiar to a number of young Black men and some Black women to some extent. And then our point is, why are they this way? But what is their incentive to change? There really isn't. In essence, they could sort of do a second show. They can do all of the same things. And then there's going to be another ecosystem right behind it that's going to, not only are they going to make money, but everyone else is going to come right behind them and make their own money, sort of commenting on sort of what we may or may not perceive to be a certain thing. And so I think the commentary should be whether or not they did something good or bad. I mean, people are going to fall on whatever edge they want, correct, of these arguments. But I think the conversation should be, what ecosystem have we created that these are the kind of things that we're falling into? And so, and what larger damage is happening that this sort of shows up in a way that we think it is even rational, that we have to say, should someone talk about someone's wife or girlfriend, and sort of have to parse if we're going to be in the middle enough. That to me, we're just losing.
This is literally what you're talking about, where our reactions to this stuff is because there's a part of us that's been socialized and indoctrinated and propagandized to seeing this as entertainment. Like, think of it this way. Instead of seeing it as degrading, instead of seeing it as trash, listen, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you. When I was growing up with my people, we watched a lot of reality TV, and the Housewives of Atlanta was on in our house. Like, and like Housewives was on, right? I'm not a partaker in OnlyFans personally, and I don't watch Kardashians, but you get the point. Social media, movie shows, music videos, so much has been shaped around how we should react, how we should view, how we should handle these things, that once we finally see it on camera, I would argue it revealed how many of us as grown men are still having the mindsets of teenagers. Because how many men were focused on who was right, who was wrong, and how they think it should have gone, and who should have put hands on who. Got 45, 50-year-old men talking that way.
Yeah, I think it speaks to a level of, I would say, to me, it's a maladjustment, correct? There's this inability to sort of not be so reactionary to some words, and you see it, correct? You see it in how we communicate with
and Arrested Development. Yeah.
Yes, you see it in the chat. You see it in the way we communicate with each other. We can even sort of we can corner it off just in the response here. You seem as an idea, someone who seems middle of the road, someone who's looking for some level of compromise, correct? Mm-hmm. And your expectation is that people showing up to your show are going to be within that cohort. But in essence, you end up with individuals, and I'm not saying what's bad or good, I'm just pointing this out, who are fundamentally saying, I know what's right as an idea. Instead of saying I'm broad and I understand these concepts, it's like they have to hammer home their sort of underdeveloped frontal lobe, correct? That their inability to sort of climb down from the branches and sort of and be a bipedal humanoid. They're still sort of they can't sort of pull back from the sort of dopamine hit of, I need to sort of force anger. I need to be angry at these two people I don't know for whatever reason. And then I have to be mad at the people who may or may not be sort of providing commentary on these two people that I don't know at all. And so I think one of the things that we haven't really wrestled with, right? We haven't really sort of figured out is, how do we turn down the knob, correct? In an ecosystem that is not only rewarding the people who don't care whether or not they go on a show and engage in that behavior. We also have a group of people who see nothing wrong with that type of behavior that requires us to even speak about it or to even address it. And I think at some point we have to get to the core problem that it isn't the individuals who are going on their shows. It's the individuals who are supporting it in a very hyper vigilant way. And those people are going to continue to be people who are going to support more and more things that are going to turn up the knob of sort of insanity. And I think our question shouldn't be whether or not we're going to be in the middle going, are these two people? I mean, those people can go away in this ecosystem. They can decide, I've made enough millions off of turning up the heat. And then what happens? Two more people will show up and just do the same thing, and it'll be a rinse and repeat. But your answer can't be Anton's bad or Corey's bad.
Yeah, I agree.
You sort of scoot them out of the way. You still have all of the anger and the sort of dopamine hits that are people wanting to get out of these ecosystems that will continue to fire back. And so the question is, how do you begin to address the sort of young Black men in particular who are growing up in an ecosystem that is making them more susceptible to those sort of triggers, which can't be possibly good because it only get worse. It can't somehow get better just given the dynamics we're seeing.
Well, I'll say this, and I think Fly Black Guy wanted to also give his response to this, is what the particular question you're asking as well, like what's next? How do we get better? How do we learn from this? I actually think it's going to be surprising to many people, especially people in the comments that haven't gotten it yet, actually creating avenues like this, where we actually have time to slow down. Not, disrespect, or I would never, like we actually can slow down and actually hold a mirror up to ourselves, to our community, to our standing globally, and be like, was this a good look? Did it look bad? How might we want to move differently? And critique it in such a way where men that are actually listening are actually listening, not strictly through the lens of, do I like Anton or Corey more, but more so through the lens of, not only does this make us look bad, but when I reflect on moments in my past when I haven't been my best self, when I've acted very similarly, when I've been very out of character, when I've been highly emotional, or because my dad wasn't there. Whatever the justifications or explanations or reasons are for why we ended up perhaps looking very similarly to that in the past, which resulted in many of us getting arrested or worse, then I think that's just a starting point. And then when you get people that are actually listening and being reflective and contemplating about how things look and how we can't just focus on ourselves, we got to think about how the group looks, how society sees us, and realizing like there's much more that's interconnected at play than just me winning this moment, winning this argument. And then you'd be like, oh, snap, there's other people that's thinking like this too, or I didn't realize that. Let me listen to this brother some more. Let me follow this type of content a little bit more. You know what? It's true. Maybe I do need to go to therapy. Maybe I do need to join a men's support group. Maybe I do need to join. And then before you know it, now you're getting men who's thinking about growing and thinking about more than just the moment. They're thinking about their future. They're thinking about where they are versus where they want to be. And the goal is just to get all these types of people, and especially men that are thinking like you gentlemen and like myself, to be able to do life together, both virtually and in person. And the odds are that if we start moving like that, we're probably less likely to be in situations like this. As an example, this idea that, so everybody views me because I got the suit on, I'm a therapist, I be chill. I think that they confuse not having a record with not deciding, with never being in a position to have to decide whether or not people go home the next day. And I think that that's a very shallow perspective that a lot of young women hold, that I'm realizing a lot of men are adopting. Anybody for any reason can decide to take another person's life, whether they got a record or whether they squeaky clean. The people I actually fear personally the most are those who don't tell you what they're going to do, who ain't using this. And something happens and you'll never know it was connected with them. Those are the people who actually terrify me the most. So what I'm trying to do is get us as men and as people to start to be more reflective about how to not even put ourselves in situations like this. Because when we do, one of them could have got hurt. One of them or both of them could have got arrested. And worse, if the wrong hit, if the wrong fall, if the wrong anything happened and one of them died on camera, well, we know who won then, huh? Like, that's where we are. And I think that our ability to be able to do what we're doing right now. What's going on, Darwin? Darwin, I think that this is just the beginning stages. And then there are men like myself, Darwin, and others who are actually doing one-on-one mentoring. We are doing, like, I'm planning a men's retreat later this year. Like, so it's happening. We just have these, that's the stuff I'm talking about doesn't go viral. This is what goes viral. But I think that we are actually doing work. And I think that, you know, it's the viral stuff that can be a little deflating. But I actually think that people are already moving in the right. The quarter zip challenge for me let me know that there's more happening than just what's happening, the worst things that's going viral. That's letting me know there's a subculture that's starting to shift and change amongst young men and boys. And I won't be shocked. I know everybody thinks we're cooked. I won't be shocked if the younger women get put on game and look at all these women complaining on social media about the quality of men and men ain't this and men ain't that, and they all end up alone. The younger women being like, you know what? I'm not doing half of what y'all did, because I see, how come all my aunts are single? How come all the women I know is divorced and ain't married? I think a lot of young women are probably going to catch up and realize they don't want that as well. And again, I could be wrong. I'm the eternal optimist. I'm just saying that there could be work going on that we may not be fully aware of. But before you gentlemen and Fly, I'm gonna come back to you. Mr. McPherson, welcome, good brother.
What are going on, my man, Jeff St. James?
What's up with you?
How you making it, man? What's up, Fly? Was it library card holder?
What's up, good brother?
Yeah, I was just listening in to your incel joint. I was just
you was there, but you ain't even send me a chat. How lovely of you, man. You didn't even say nothing.
Yeah, I just kind of was in there listening. but we're not here for that. But yeah, I was listening in though.
Yeah, appreciate pulling up. Appreciate your support.
What you think? What you guys say, Darwin, about this whole situation, everything popping off?
With Anton and Corey Holcomb.
Yep.
I got an unpopular opinion that I don't think nobody talked about. I think both of them probably maybe weeks leading up to the show. This is allegedly. This ain't nothing true. This is just what I think.
What?
That they say, hey, look, man, let's cause a scene on my show and let's get our algorithms going and get our shit, our bag up. Like, I'm gonna press you. You're gonna say the thing that I don't like, and I'm gonna get up in your face, and you're just gonna walk off. That's what I think. That's what I think, bro. Why do I have no reason not to believe that when motherfuckers, excuse my language, I ain't gonna cuss on your stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody doing impromptus and all this orchestrated skits and stuff. How do we know that wasn't a skit?
Hey, we don't know. That's the crazy part. And let's say hypothetically it was true. What does that then reveal about us again?
It reveals that money, we sell ourselves out in money. We've been doing it for a while. Even organizations like gang organizations allow somebody to infiltrate hip hop and literally be number one in the ratings all over for maybe 4 to 6 months straight. I think it was Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? All because of money in the culture. Like, we're willing to bend our culture, we're bend the things that we stand for. Although it might be argued that it's fragmented, we just let anybody in. We don't stand for nothing. We don't have any principles and standards. So these things are easily take place. It clearly, Anton and Corey Holcomb had politically they disagreed. Culturally, they disagreed. I mean, what do you expect? That conversation is not going to go nowhere. I think it just started to get very toxic and hostile from the jump.
Yeah,
there was no way that he was going to be able to walk away from that amicably, shaking hands and saying, "I appreciate it and I have you back on." It's just, I didn't have any. They were giving me no indicators that would happen.
Well, I'll tell you this. Let's say hypothetically it's true that it was planned, allegedly. And what I think it reveals about us is that it didn't matter if it was planned. I think that's what it revealed about those of us who've been so entertained and captivated, is that it wouldn't have mattered even if it was fake, even if they did plan it. We wanted to see, a lot of us wanted to see what we saw. We wanted to see these two hotheads get in there, cuss each other out, put on a performance, and in the end, like professional wrestling, were we entertained, yes or no? That's what I think a lot of us are now coming to wake up and realize a couple of weeks later is, like, you're right. Some people ate off of that. Both of them ate off of it in their own respective platforms, covering this stuff and the amount of views and money and everything that came their way. Whether it was planned or not is secondary to it would not have mattered for the majority of people who were the most emotionally wrapped up and involved in this stuff. They just had their feelings about who they didn't like and who they were rocking with, and that dictated how they saw and interpreted this whole situation. I mean, my view, I've said it before, man. If you still talking about sides, you already lost. If you talking about who lost, you lost. That's to me. That how you look at that situation, especially is people on the screen that look like me and think that there's any winner in this situation is crazy to win. Monetarily, there's some winners. I'm not going to deny that. But outside of that, there's no winners in this, man. And I think I appreciate you guys just providing nuance, perspective, different ways of how people can kind of look at this thing. And funny enough, I had thought about the whole, I wonder if it's fake or not, but I didn't add it to my list of things because I just didn't know. But it's cool that other people was thinking about that too, because I was like, this is kind of strange that stuff is being said that's real crazy and they're getting right up in each other's faces and nothing's happening. Like, there's no, and I'm like, maybe it's because of where I grew up in Philly and working in Philly and working in prisons and everything. It usually doesn't get to that point too long. After somebody gets super close, something gonna happen. So it was very interesting to see how it kept leading up to it. It kept building up, and then it wouldn't go beyond what would normally happen with that. So I appreciate you, Darwin, for kind of sharing that.
Jeff, I don't think that I want to say Anton, and there's no shade to him. I don't think he anticipated how far or the things that it would unravel. And when I say unravel, I don't know if y'all been watching what's been going on in the space, but we've seen people come up from the past that had interactions with Anton, and it didn't end well. And I would argue that they would never have coming out from the past if this wouldn't happen. And I don't think Anton anticipated that people will come out and they start exposing him in ways to where it could potentially tarnish his brand and have people who would stand 10 toes down with him begin to start walking away or considering, okay, maybe I should not affiliate myself with him because he poses as the Christian man who's married and done everything right from the start, and 20 years in, then he's promoting hooking up with women outside of a wed. He always supposed to. I had all my kids in wedlock. Then you having people come on that allegedly they're saying that he's having people come on into the space, women specifically, and gatekeeping the solution or the recipe for success as a content creator behind throwing that ass in a circle. So, and then you got people that are women that are coming on microphones and saying, yeah, he did this to me. This is what, and it's like, damn, did you really anticipate that was going to happen?
Nah, I don't think there was any way he could have predicted whatever it was he was about to do or say on that platform that he was going to get the amount of pushback about these type of comments and accusations. Absolutely.
And that's why I think it was real. I think what happened was real. Yeah, I think it's just that Corey has, a lot of support on his side. And, like I said before, a lot of people wanted to kind of see Anton put in this quote unquote place about the things, disparaging things he said about black folks. I would, if it was a reparations committee, I'll sit on that reparations committee and make sure that black folks don't get reparations because my taxes will go up. Stuff like that.
I remember when he said that.
He said that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. So people, I do think it was real. Of course, I don't agree with it. It got out of hand. On many occasions, I'm pretty sure on many levels we can agree to that. And then I think when he came out with Corey had said something about his daughter and his wife, which, like I said earlier, I don't agree with it. When Anton presented it the way he did, how he was, presenting it, and I think that he thought he had kind of Corey in a, boxed in, and then everything started to come out about him. I think he kind of had a win, so to speak. That's why he came out with the, how when something happened with the police and you have everybody standing in the back and they're standing and they have this united front. I think when he presented what happened with his daughter and being taken out of school and all her accolades, I believe that he was like, yeah, I got him. And the way we were trying to put it together as a family. We don't know what direction we're going to go. And right now we're just trying to, pray for us type of thing. I think he kind of thought, okay, I got him. But then when other things started to come out about him and
nah, it has not been looking. And the crazy part is neither of them have been looking good after the falling out. Because there was things I had not heard about either of them before, and then these accusations just coming out the woodworks, and I'm like, yo, a lot of this is coming at y'all because of some insane argument between y'all two, and I'm like, I don't even know if half this stuff would have even hit it the same way if y'all didn't have this spat and then something came out about either of them. Half of us would have never heard about.
I agree. TMZ be waiting in the cut because they know at some point you probably gonna mess up.
Everybody's waiting in the cut.
Everybody, TMZ got a file on everybody.
Well, listen, why you think I started my whole podcast from the very beginning talking about a whole bunch of stuff I did wrong? Like my first 3
exactly. Put it out there, no doubt.
Hey, because and it's not that I'm perfect even now as much as it is like I just learned studying this stuff and watching this stuff for a while. I see how it works in cycles. And I realize a lot of people either rock with you or hate you. And the people that rock with you will rock with you until they don't. Mm-hmm. And then the people who hate you, they're waiting for moments like this.
Yeah, and then I would say not losing sight of the fact that they are two successful black men within their spheres. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to be a target naturally there. You know, you're going to have your set of haters that are waiting there. And I think that, to Darwin's point, I think that they went in with a plan, whether it was discussed together or not. Mm-hmm. I just don't think they weighed out the impact on their brand, on themselves, you know, from what that. And then I definitely don't think they understood the openings it would create for those who were trying or wanting to tear them down. Because if anyone knows, it's not anything new. People attacking Antoine. It's not anything new. People attacking Corey. You know, from both of their stats. But when you facilitate them and give them the ammunition, meaning the eyes, the push, you know, the views. I mean, how many people have we seen on YouTube make hundreds and hundreds of videos supporting or tearing down either one? And when you get that much movement, that's going to catch the eyes of a TMZ. That's going to catch the eyes of whomever is, you know, sitting in the wings waiting for that opportunity to go ahead and knock you down a few pegs. Because they like to do that to us.
Yeah. And sorry, just case in point. I know this is hard to believe because I know I came out of nowhere from a year ago. I don't actually have a relationship for the 50th time with Anton Daniels. I don't know where this accusation came from that I work for him. I'm affiliated with him. He's done anything for me, or we've had a single conversation. I know that he knows that I exist. That's about it. There's no other information. We've never had no back and forth. Obviously, I've met with Jazz. I've met with Mika. But no, I actually have not talked to this dude. I don't work for him. I don't have a deal. I'm just letting y'all know, man, like it is possible to not throw somebody under the bus to the degree you want them to, strictly because I owe him something or he's got something on me or I work for him and we work together. I know this is hard to believe, but it's possible that maybe I'm looking at this through the lens of forest for the trees, long term, and y'all are looking about in the moment what you want me to do or how you want me to act. Why would I go crazy on Corey or Anton if I would love to work with both of them in the future?
Exactly. And that's cool. And I think Anton would come on, you know, your show. You have created this space. I mean, I've seen everybody from Smart Guy. I mean, I've seen everybody that's anybody. They have to come. It's like now you have to come through, you know, Ask a Brother. You know what I mean? Podcast. Right. And you have, you know, a melodic and just calm way of dealing with these 304s. It's like, I know you're 304, but let's talk. Yeah. See, you know, you have that way of dealing with. So it gives people, it makes people comfortable. Come on the podcast, have a conversation, you give people the space. And I think that's good. We need that. It does not always need to be where, and we know your position. You know, I believe your position is more, you know, I'm not going to say that, but I believe I know your position. You know what I mean? You're going to tell the truth. You're just going to do it in a different kind of way. Because
what's crazy is, and not in a scorched earth way.
No,
where
not at all.
It stupidly does things that'll prevent opportunities for me to engage with people that I think are interesting.
Absolutely.
And I think that people worry that if I guess engage with some of these people, that I won't say very similar things to what I said tonight.
You would. I believe it.
Like, I have no problem doing that. I actually don't work for these people. I know that that's hard to believe. Like, unlike them arguing who has a boss, I actually don't have a boss. I actually, you know, there's a team. There's definitely, I got a team that let me know, Jeff, don't do this, Jeff, do that. But at the end of the day, you know, that's where I'm at. Where it's like, I'm not in that headspace anymore. Where it's just, I got to do this, I got to say that. Like, sometimes it doesn't make doesn't make sense for me anymore. And believe it or not, I learned from people like Darwin, where I've seen his growth with his channel and how he's built up his platform and how he's transitioned to wearing suits more. He got the little two-tone color in the background. I'm like, okay, brother. Like, so I'm learning and adjusting with what I'm seeing with what I saw with them two brothers. I'm not going to go intentionally with major debates with people unless it's a formal debate and I'm getting paid for it.
And Darwin,
yeah, go ahead.
You was over there with Anton and them for a minute, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Never been on the panel.
No, I'm talking about Darwin. When
oh, Darwin.
Yeah, you was over there for a minute.
Yeah, I was over there.
Yeah. With Lapeef and them, right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
But what I was gonna say I get it. Working with Corey, I mean, that sounds like something that could happen. He could have you on as a guest. You know, y'all talk about whatever topic. Well, when it comes to Anton, you say you want to work with him, and I'm not saying this to say that you shouldn't work with him. I'm saying if you look at how he works with people, typically you would have to it almost sounds like you would have to work for him. Like Anton is the type that you have to bring some type of gain to him, otherwise he didn't want to deal with you. You would have to. It sounds.
Yeah.
And this is no shade to Anton. Anton
I've heard
comes
it a
off
few
as a
times.
point that is like you become a possession of his, and you operate the way he wants you to operate, and the scope of work is delegated by him. You get what I'm saying? That is the type.
Yeah. I've had. Funny enough, you're not the first person that said that to me. My view and lens is I still get to dictate if I am given an opportunity, if I'm going to follow through on it, and if it's beneficial to me.
Right. You still reserve the right to say agree to the terms, but I'm saying like if you, like for people who say they want to work with, we don't even have to bring the females in it. We already know allegedly how that's working out. But when it comes to the men, every time you see the men
Put it out like
Shots
that.
fired.
Listen, I'm not going to speak on the man's personal life or what they got going on.
Listen, I ain't got nothing against. Listen, for me personally, if that's so, one thing we haven't taken account, I don't think nobody's talking about is everybody saying it's bad that he's doing that. According to whose morality? If his wife is saying that, hey, look, you can have your little bad joint on you whenever you're going to do your thing. Who the fuck is? I can't cuss on your channel. Who the heck are we to go against that? If that's the terms of how he runs his kingdom.
Yeah. Listen,
Nobody wants to talk about that because a lot of them are hearing him spew out, I'm a Christian. So whenever they connect the dots between Christianity and the principles you're supposed to live, it's a contradiction to some of the things that he's allegedly being accused of. So I kind of understand that.
Nah, I get it. And like I said to the previous caller, I hope that if people are watching this stuff or engaging in my material, that although they can hold me to a standard, I hope that they don't hold me to perfection, especially past.
Are you a Christian?
Funny enough,
Stop. Don't go on. Don't listen.
It won't be a long tangent.
Don't go on the record and say. Don't go on the record.
I'm gonna go on the record, and I'm going to state all the way up until maybe 3 years ago, I emphatically would have 100% said yes. I'm a Christian, Protestant, apostolic, grew up the whole nine, grew up in the black church and all of that jazz. I think having had so much time to reflect on my biblical education, the things I've read and looked into about comparing different religions, different influencing factors, a whole host of different things that I've really looked into, I've gotten comfortable enough to believe that okay, actually I'll just use one example. I think that there's so much that has been added and edited out of the word of God as we profess it and claim it to be, that it's not even close to, it's not even like, if someone did a true sit down deep dive into every manuscript, how we got it, how it was translated, how it's adjusted and changed, and how it was formulated and put together, I think it would be very, very difficult for people that are honest and objective about what that actually looks like. Not that they believe in God or not, but that they would judge everybody else about whether or not they're a Christian. That's my honest answer.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. So I'm at
I would
that I'm at that strange place where for my entire life, everybody that didn't think like me is going to hell. I'm not there anymore.
Right. I ain't
Yeah.
never been there, but I get what you're saying.
No,
I
but
find
that's to be fair, that's a very straightforward Orthodox Christian view. That's not strange. That's not, depending on how hardcore they are about it, that includes infants in the womb that die prematurely. They mean if you never got the chance to hear the gospel, you're gone. You're cooked. If you was in the womb and you died from an abortion, you're cooked. If you die before you had the opportunity to hear the gospel, you're cooked. And knowing that over 80% of human life that's ever existed never heard the gospel, had the opportunity, they're cooked. That's what that means. And I got to a place and point where I actually don't believe that anymore. But do I think that the book itself, the faith itself, has a lot of benefits? I think a lot of religions do. But that's my honest opinion. One day I'm gonna actually do a full deep dive into where I'm at, invite religious folks and even people who are transitioners out of leaving the faith or leaving Islam or leaving Christianity and why they did, just to kind of see and hear, people's vantage points from both sides. But I appreciate that question, though.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Because I think we're exposing what the catalyst for all of the pushback or the hatred towards Anton.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if he came into this conversation not proclaiming to be a Christian, or I'm a Christian before I'm black.
Mm-hmm.
None of this. I'm telling you, this would massively, the amount of hatred or the amount of pushback and anger towards him would massively decrease. Let's just pretend that you switched it. Let's just say Anton wasn't a Christian. He just said he was black, but Corey Holcomb proclaimed to be a Christian. Who do you think would get most of the hatred for their behavior? Can you imagine Corey Holcomb claiming that I'm a Christian and behaving like that?
Not even close. That's a
if
fair.
Anton wasn't a Christian,
Yeah.
just imagine Andrew Tate. If that was not Andrew Tate, I'm sorry. If that was anybody who just wasn't a Christian that just came in there and they got a wife home, they got a joint on it. We live in a liberated society where people are doing some of the craziest stuff.
Nah, it's not a good look.
Look
Nah,
at
that's fair.
Anton Wild. I'm like, he ain't no Christian. He don't have no principles. I mean, it is what it is. But he said he was a Christian. That's
What it is, and I agree with you that people would take it more seriously if the roles are reversed in terms of religion and who's claiming it. But what I will say is it also matters a lot more to people who are looking to him for that reason. Meaning, like, there was a whole host of us that him claiming to be a Christian was actually irrelevant for us. That had no bearing on whether I'm going to tune in on Tuesday nights to listen to his panel show, whether or not I'm going to listen to his Millionaire Morning Show. His faith, all this stuff about what he believes, there's people who really are like, yo, he's a hypocrite and this, and that. And there's other people who's like, bro, I grew up in the church. They all are. Oh, and next. So that's what I mean. Whereas, there's definitely people who that's a big, big sticking point for them. And then there's other people that's like, that's it. That's the worst. That's what, like, bro, I was a part of ministries. I grew up in this stuff. What I'm basically saying is there's going to be people like you and maybe others that it means more to them. It affects them more. I'm in a camp where he could have been an atheist. He could have been agnostic. He could have been a general theist. No, any of those titles wasn't going to change whether or not I'm going to tune in or listen to a particular thing that I'm listening to him for. If that makes sense.
Look, I'm not saying that it was his proclaim to be Christian intersected with his audience engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the dilemma between him being married and having a woman on his shoulder, or going around boasting about he don't never leave the country or the state without having a bag on his shoulder. I think that is what really ticked people off. People already knew Anton was, he likes to be the villain. Like, he got smoked for any and everybody. He just loved to wear that, and it does. I think it's a manipulative strategy. by way of getting him the audience he wants and the attention he wants, and it works. But as far as him, I think the atrocity during the whole interaction between Corey Holcomb and Anton, as far as Anton is concerned, is having the girl with him and being accused of him and her being in the hotel doing their thing when Rita's at home just saluting. And you know how many women are like what kind of woman is that? Like a black woman too, like that's
it's gonna sound so wild, man, but it's like I keep trying to say to people, what if everything they're saying is true? Then what?
Everything what's saying is true.
If everything you're claiming or what people are claiming and he's doing this and let's say all that's true. Now what? Now what do we do? Now that we believe he's a hypocrite, or we believe that there's confirmation that he's a hypocrite, you gonna support him anymore? You gonna watch it anymore? You're not gonna watch him anymore, and you already hadn't been watching him. Like in the grand scheme of it, is like
we're gonna watch him even more.
Maybe.
I think the issue is
because of the audacity. Like the audacity of you to let's tune in to him let's just watch his down. People are gonna watch it for your downfall.
My vantage point is like if it's indeed true, you have to decide on what it is for why it is you're going to continue to watch and engage with him in his content anyway.
I think people already decided.
Now, listen, there's a whole lot of people who claim they've lost respect for him. There's some people that claim they've lost respect for Corey and they're not going to support them. And it's based on these allegations or accusations and stuff that's coming out. My view is, what were you watching them for?
I would just say I don't think the algorithm.
Toxicity for entertainment.
Yeah.
I would say a great deal of Anton's audience is people who hate the shit out of him.
Oh yeah,
and in the end, it's like I don't think that in my mind the algorithms they're dominating the algorithms for a while. Their views go up for a minute. They're going to get some extra subscribers, and then people are then going to have to get back to the point I made all along. You're then going to have to decide if you're going to watch them anymore, or if you are, and if you are, what are you watching them for? And if it's for anything that you think is helpful, have at it. And if you think it's for like, for instance, I've never once tuned in to listen to Anton about his advice about being in a relationship with a woman. If what he said was true, that he's only been with one woman, and that woman was the woman he ended up marrying fresh out of high school, and he's been with one woman his entire life, he can't tell me nothing about women.
I would just say there's a flaw.
Right? Like I'm not going. So their agreement, what arrangement they got going on, functionally irrelevant for me because I don't even tune into him for relationship advice. That means nothing to me in regards to that. For me, I'm actually interested way more in his politics, not because I align with it 100%, but because I'm hearing and seeing how a person like him gets that mindset, uses the arguments they do, and pokes hole in the liberal logic. And I want to see how the liberals that are on his panel respond and engage in that. And I'm learning when I watch that back and forth, especially their political conversations, how they frame it. Are they using fallacies? I'm watching that stuff. That's what's going on for me. So all this like extra stuff, it's there, and I know certain people care. I'm just putting it out there that there's a whole host of other people who probably don't care about some of these things as much as maybe other people do. But Fly Black Guy, I know you had something to say before.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it seems like simple validation that he uses as a technique to say, listen to me because I have every aspect of my life together.
Yeah, he said that.
And that's kind of what's falling apart now is that people always relish in finding you as a hypocrite or anyone as a hypocrite, like an aha moment. And all of us have had an argument with a woman and, they find that and they hold on to it. I've found your hypocrisy there. And I think that, I think most men, and I would say all of us, look at Antoine and we immediately see the flaws. We see the flaws in the logic, the flaws in the presentation. We know that there's a very strong chance what he's saying is complete and total BS to an extent. But there are something that we really did was that Black people as a whole, we have a Messiah complex. So we're looking to be led. We're looking to, and I think he tapped into that by presenting himself, because the unfortunate part that happens is that he's being validated in real time now and hadn't been validated before. And it happens a lot. You know, people come out, they say their things, they present themselves, and that's the gift and the curse of this medium is that you can be whoever you want to be here, present yourself how you want to present yourself, in hope for the best that, you know, your true self doesn't present. Like I said, I think that this whole situation with Corey just shed a light on both of them. Corey wasn't as tough as he presented himself to be. Antoine wasn't as intellectual as he presented himself to be. And they both met there and exposed each other through their wolf tickets, through their plan or whatever it may be. And people just kind of went, interesting.
Yeah.
And then they dug a little bit deeper and it was presented there. And so, you know, I just think those chickens are coming home to roost. You know, I've listened to Antoine and I'm with you. When he starts talking about, oh, I've been with her since I was in high school, it's really weird to me. I go, okay, that's interesting, but what are you trying
How
to?
is it weird?
I'm saying it's weird to me that the way he presents it as a sense of validation, like, hey, you should listen to me about relationships because I've been with the same woman. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. That's awesome. That works for you. That works for you and her. You guys are doing great. But that doesn't put you in a position to then look down on individuals who may not have. I've literally heard him talk down to brothers who weren't married to the woman they had a child with or married to the woman that they were with because he says, I did it this way.
Yeah,
I go, okay,
that was the goal. The goal was to to tear you down because his delivery is to deliver any kind of message in any way he can to appeal to or to make himself parallel to complete perfection and righteousness. And anybody who haven't done that, that is his way to get the upper hand. So be damned, behoove you to expose the fact that maybe you did have your pick of the litter whenever you were younger. Because he would turn that against you and say you were degenerate. You should have been with one woman, like the word says. I did it. I'm perfect. So now you got to listen to me. That's his trope. He did that to me. Actually, it's funny that as a brother.
I was going. I'm sorry. I was going to bring that up. I watched that show.
Go ahead.
Man, yeah. So man, I was steaming. Because I wanted to bring that up when he had Rita in the background.
Oh,
he was trying to explain to it. This goes back to what Brother Jeff was saying. You haven't really been experienced. And what Darwin was trying to explain to him is, I was that dude basically at that time. I played ball. I'm tall. I'm figure tall, handsome dude. I was that guy. Not to be funny, Anton, you wasn't. Come on, man. So he had Rita chime in and say, yeah, he was, and it's funny. I just recently watched that again. I don't know what made me go back to it, but that's how I was so quick on it. But yeah, and that's where it's like, Anton, like, I know we know we grew up with dudes that people had a little paper. You had polos, you had all the up-to-date gear, you had a car for everybody. So it kind of put you in that position where you kind of you was a little popular or whatever. But guys like Brother Darwin, being an athlete, I know what he was saying and what he was like, yo, you wasn't under the pressure that the average guy that looks like Darwin is under to be talking all this jazz.
6'4", tall, jawline chisel. Because
I'm not even, and I'm not no, I'm 5'9". I've been in the game. I know what's up. I could separate Darwin from me from I know what the game is. He
tried to make me feel bad about me hitting the genetic lottery, and he tried to use it against me in a religious way. And I said, hey, look, and I tried to spin it on him just to test his logic. I said, if you had my height, my charisma, my athleticism, I was jumping out of the gym all throughout high school. And all of the pressures as a young 15, 14, 16, 17, 18-year-old young man, do you think you would have been able to do the same thing you did, that same path you took with finding one woman, you losing your virginity to her and getting married for 20 years? Do you think you would have been able to pull that off? And he said, yeah, I would have did it. It's a
I'm gonna
both.
tell you this. I didn't do it without your genetics, brother.
Exactly.
I feel a long time ago. If that
exactly,
was
we all
That's
have
the litmus
it.
test. Yeah.
it is well over 3 hours. I am cooked. I am tired, and I actually got to eat dinner because it's about to be midnight on this side, East Coast time where I'm at. But listen, I appreciate you brothers hopping on, man, joining in this conversation. It's very, very clear now with me starting in February. It's time for me to start doing this stuff way more, call-in shows, particular topics. So instead of me doing the news commentary at 9 a.m. in the morning, because I am not ready and I'm not going to be ready in time, I'm going to save it for Wednesday, 9 a.m., covering the news as it relates to the immigration crisis with ICE and open borders and Renee Good and all that good stuff. And then on Thursday, I'm going to jump into Nicki Minaj and the Epstein files. And hopefully that'll satisfy everybody's urge to get me to start talking about more of these types of topics and discussions. But fellas, I appreciate all of you for kind of pulling up and just joining the combo.
Appreciate you for creating the space.
All right, fellas. All right, y'all. So listen, man, that was dope. That was dope. And I hope that y'all enjoyed this conversation. 3 hours worth and a whole bunch of y'all engaged. I thank y'all for the love, support, for the following. I'm trying to turn this thing into this being a regular habit and thing for sure, y'all. So listen, I'm absolutely going to hit the ground running. I'm going to make a decision on whether I should just do nothing on Tuesday and use Tuesday instead as a prep day, and then switch everything to Wednesday, where I'll have 2 interviews and maybe news in the morning, interview at and a couple interviews back to back. I think on Wednesday may be the move of what I'm definitely going to do. But for sure, I'm going to save my news in the morning 9 a.m. shift to start on Wednesday. So that gives me at least tomorrow to get myself ready for it. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Stay tuned. More interviews and stuff is lined up. More original content. And like I said, Nicki, Epstein files, immigration, the whole nine. I am planning on covering all of that this week. And I appreciate y'all supporting it. So listen, if you have not liked this video, please make sure that you do. Please feel free to send it and share it with 2 or 3 additional people. And feel free to comment, y'all. Y'all can comment and let me know additional topics or pop culture things. If y'all gonna tune in like y'all tuned in tonight, I'm definitely gonna cover this stuff for sure, because I do absolutely want to do this way more often than I was doing before my most recent break. And yeah, as y'all stated, I saw a few of y'all commenting, yes, the caps are in, the teeth is straight and aligned. As I've got some big plans and projects coming out, the teeth got to look right for sure. So I will be soon having on some fashion designers for interviews where for both men and women, image consultants, where they're going to be giving us modern day 2026 advice, talking about the importance of our smile, our image, our presentation, even down to sitting posture, so that men and women can start to learn about how to move up, how to elevate, and how presentation can change everything. So listen, I hope that y'all enjoyed this. Have a good evening wherever you are. If and when the video's officially fully uploaded and processed completely and is able to be hyped, please hype up the videos, because that's the #1 way to. So many people have said that they did not know that these videos are up, that they think I'm not posting anything. But it seems like when people like and hype the videos when they're able to, it apparently makes it back up to people's algorithms. So thank y'all for the support. Shout out to the 40,000 plus people who are now subscribers. A lot of you are not members to the channel. And I highly recommend, because when we make some big announcements pretty soon, members are going to be the first one to get the perks, the deals, the announcements, and know about the big thing that I've been working on the last few months, which I will be announcing pretty soon. And again, they will know it before literally anyone else on the internet is aware of it. So if you are not a member, to become a member of this channel and support it, it's $2.99. And that's it. And I thank you. So again, y'all, have a good evening. Have a good night. Talk to y'all on the other side. And Anton and Corey, holla at me. Peace.